Thank you for taking the time to click on L.O.R.E. Please subscribe here and don't forget to follow us on twitch.tv/LoreLivePlay.
In case you guys missed it from earlier, this is the L.O.R.E Live Lounge where we're just hanging out. We're going to talk about stuff, mostly
Let's talk about
TTRPG,
sex,
D&D related.
baby. Let's talk about
Let's talk
you
about
and me.
D&D.
No,
Let's
it's not
talk
sex,
about
it's
all the
Dex.
dice rolls.
Dex.
Dex.
We're rogues. Let's talk about Dex.
I love that. That's
All
funny.
the good rolls and the bad rolls and what they may be.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dex. That's a natural one.
Oh my. All right. Well,
Man,
So
now
are
I'm thinking
people
about
hearing
Pitch
you now?
Perfect.
yeah, they can now.
Okay.
Let's talk
that's
about
good.
Pitch Perfect, the movie, and why it's actually not that good.
Which one? Or all of them?
I only watched the first one, and I was like 13 when it came out, and I was like, it was pretty funny. And then I watched it recently, and I was like, this isn't
terrible.
very funny. The songs were decent.
Why is this terrible? You know what? It was a good concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, the jokes are very dated. The jokes are just very like, this is an edgy teen movie in 2012, and it's like, yeah, that's definitely the impression you get from the jokes.
I remember the edgy teen movies of 1988.
Yeah.
So
I was
like,
gonna If you take your age and just go like this with the numbers, that's how old I was when you watched it. I've never seen
yeah.
They're
There's
fine.
a spread amongst us
We have
varies across the spectrum.
16
Yeah.
Candles.
Oh my god.
Oh, 16 Candles is a great
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
My mom made me watch it.
That was edgy when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean,
Not so much anymore, but
I mean, some of it aged to the point where it's not so much edgy as it is just kind of like, ooh,
Cringy?
I don't think you could write a character like that anymore.
no.
Looking at
very
you,
cringy.
Long Duck Dong.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
That
still here?
would never fly these days.
Right. Oh gosh.
Wow.
Half the stuff you watch, they were saying stuff you're not even supposed to be saying anymore. Like, I was watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures with my son, and they're like doing something and they're joshing each other, and then they're like, fat beep, and I'm like, oh, like, earmuffs. You didn't hear
Yeah,
that?
you forget
Yeah.
forget some of the stuff that like kind of ages itself out of the cultural zeitgeist. That it's like, oh, that's really not kosher anymore, is it?
Nope.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's even that way with
Mm-mm.
like YouTube videos from like 2010 or like 2008, where it's just like, oh, wow, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how things change, though. Like,
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It was a weird time.
Yeah.
Gen
The
X
80s.
is very
It was a weird
strange.
time.
It
Yeah.
was,
Isn't it-
seriously.
Isn't it weird when you think about it too that like we got more sensitive with the words coming out of our mouth, but the things that our eyes and ears are perceiving have become so much worse. Like
Yeah.
the stuff that we're basically like numb to, like horror movies now. Back
Mm.
then it was like a knife and then rated R, stabbed in the stomach, and it's like, ooh, gross. And now you watch stuff and I mean it's every possibly
Yeah, man.
disgusting thing you
Shrek
can think
faked
of.
getting stabbed in the stomach in Shrek the Third, and that's a PG movie.
That's rough. That
I
was
don't know why
crazy.
when you were talking about stabbing people in the stomach, that was my first thought. But
That's where I went.
Because you are
Yeah.
desensitized. That's
That's
why.
the word, yes. We're so sensitive yet so desensitized. Like
Yes. Yeah.
weird. We're weird culture. I was watching a movie last night called Moonfall on HBO.
Oh yeah.
Oh, where the moon is falling, baby.
Essentially, yeah. It's super duper cool. I loved it. The concept of that, like, our existing human race in this movie was basically like generations and generations and generations and generations related back to like humans way back in the day that existed elsewhere, and like to save the mankind they like escaped from this thing that was basically they developed AI, and AI became self-aware and was like, these humans are inferior, they're not as smart as us, and basically wiped everybody out. And then they escaped off their planet to create these other things, and saved one of those white dwarf stars and built the moon around it essentially. And the moon is like this big construct that is the whole reason why like it revolves around, and even if it goes off like 4 degrees or something like that, it throws everything off. It was such a cool movie. I love those kind of concepts.
Why can't flat earthers come up with cool shit like that?
Yeah. Well,
That's
you know
way cooler than whatever they're saying.
You know,
I'd actually read their fan fiction then.
What is the fiction writer that
How many feathers can I ruffle tonight?
came up with that Discworld? Who was that?
Oh, Terry Pratchett.
Yes, Terry
Yeah.
Pratchett. That's
Yeah.
Flat Earth, man.
Oh yeah.
Flat Earth,
Well-
Definition, yeah.
held by
Yeah.
elephants, floating on a turtle in space. It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
Except he doesn't try to convince you it's not fiction.
I don't think he
On
needs
account
to.
of Sir Terry Pratchett being a fiction author.
Mhm. Folks,
and a dang good one at that.
Yes. Yeah.
this is a true
Very much
documentary
so.
written by a bard.
This is a documentary. I heard it from a guy. I like how that's the framing for like the Lord of the Rings books basically, is that Tolkien was like, I found these ancient transcripts, I translated them into English from whatever elven language they were in. I like that. I like that there's like a
Don't they call it what, Tengwar or something like that?
yeah, so it's been a hot minute, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a friend of mine who is actually doing like translations from
Oh, that's
like
so cool.
she's like making English phrases and things in Tengwar and in like Procreate.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool actually.
Very, very cool.
She's a cross stitcher too, so she might actually do some of them in cross stitch.
Hmm.
That'd be pretty cool actually.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Man, like, I respect anybody that can cross stitch.
Oh,
In
so
general.
do I. I can't. I have not a crafty bone in my body. It's really, really pathetic.
I was gonna say a really, really terrible joke about like cross stitch, as in like you make Stitch from the Disney movie Lilo and Stitch mad.
Oh my
It's like you
God.
cross Stitch and he like grows 4 arms and attacks. It wasn't funny, but now I'm explaining it, so it's like even less
It's
funny.
less
than if I would've
funny
just
now,
written it.
yeah.
So now it's just kind of like defeating the purpose, and I'm
Well-
rambling on about it.
Halfway through your statement, I immediately thought of like a cross-dressing Stitch, and I was like, "Why are you going this route?" Oh, you're not talking about that. Never
No.
mind.
You know,
Matthew,
it's a
that's
good thing no
Glee,
one's watching
and they're
this.
living their best life.
Stitch have question for group. Why Stitch have
Yo,
4 arms and
actually-
cross dress?
Dude, yo, actually, speaking of Lilo and Stitch, I totally forgot. What's his name? Jumba and Pleakley, they actually get married in like the Stitch TV show. And it's like, yeah, they're both aliens, but like they're both like male, so it's like that was like
Ish.
good job, Disney. Better representation than like modern Disney.
Yeah. True. Very true. We're living in a very progressively acceptable world, which is good.
I think it's more of accept or get yelled at.
That too.
Well,
Adapt
I mean,
Or get yelled at.
Adapt or die,
yeah, to be
Or
fair,
get canceled.
or get canceled.
we just don't like bigots, which I think is a fair stance to have.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Totally fair. Yeah.
What? You youngins don't like...
You youngins don't like bigots?
Get off my lawn!
Well, I better take my signs and crosses and get on out of
Yeah.
here.
Take my cross stitch with me.
I have to say, though, as an older person, it can be a bit of a landmine knowing what you should and shouldn't say. And not because I'm like not all into everyone being included and all of that. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's just some of the language that was okay when I was growing up is now no longer okay.
Yeah.
And I have to know what I shouldn't say when I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like-
and I totally understand and sympathize with how that it can be like a pain, because like, you know, at a certain point it's tough to keep up with pop cultural changes in real time, especially now because they're so much quicker than before. The word queer has essentially been reclaimed by the queer community, and they said, but when I mentioned that around my mom, when I said queer, she was like, are you allowed to say that?
Oh,
Because she was used to the context where you would call someone that word directly. You would say they are that.
Yeah,
which is that's derogatory as hell, but it's been reclaimed in that sort of sense by the queer community, and it's tough to keep up with even that big picture thing. So even like littler picture things can be difficult. So I think, you know, just at the end of the day, it's more just about
I'm thinking about it.
show
I'm
that
trying
you're
to make
thinking
an
about it and that you're
effort.
trying.
Exactly,
And reasonable people will be like, yeah, that's okay.
The
Like,
one thing that I get caught up in or tripped up by is saying guys when there are women and men in a group. Like it just automatically, I just say like, hey guys or whatever.
Yeah.
Like this just like I don't even think about it. Like it's one of those things that was so, you know, regular
yeah,
when I
and
was
mean,
growing
you know,
up. And now I have to
depending on
say
the-
folks or something. Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
mean, depending on like the group of people, some people are totally cool with it. Just like, yeah, obviously you're using that as a gender neutral phrase. That's whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I understand why it might offend
Yeah,
some people,
sometimes,
but
like,
it's
if-
hard to know
Yeah,
who I'm, you know. I don't want to
say-
offend anyone.
I say folks a lot more.
Yeah.
And if I do say guys, I usually, if I'm like with a group of people I'm not familiar with, I'm just like, are you guys cool if I just use that as like a gender neutral term, like the word dude? Because who the hell uses the word dudette?
No. It is
I
a
don't like
dumb
that word.
I
phrase.
started
Dumb
to
word.
raise my hand because I was like, I still use dude. Oh, dudette? No.
Dudette.
No,
No,
it's
the term dude
that's like
is
Smurf and
is-
Smurfette. Like
Yeah,
that was just
the
wrong.
term dude is gender neutral, and I will not be taking any dissent on that opinion. The word dude is gender neutral, folks.
But it's one of those things where it depends on how you grew up and what words
Yeah,
you were using when you grew up,
absolutely.
and it can be hard to use them in different context when that was a gender neutral term all through my childhood and most of my adulthood, to be honest. And now all of a sudden that's not acceptable. And like I'll try. I definitely will do my best. I use folks way more often than I do anything else, but it can be one of those things, you know, where I may trip up.
Well, speaking of
and
gender,
yeah, Ranger, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Rich.
that's all that.
Leave
don't
it to
know.
Rich to find
put-
Smurfette hot.
Oh, that.
Look, I'll
Yes.
back Rich up on that one. Back in those days, like I was watching Smurfs, My Little Ponies,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Like as a little kid, and like I had total crush on like Smurfette, you know, half of the My Little Ponies. I'm sure I.
Well, think about that though. For Smurfette, she was the only female.
Yeah.
And how many of them were there? Like,
Way too many.
that's
I mean,
a lot.
There had to have been like a high ratio of gay Smurfs. There's no way that's not a thing.
I don't know. But
There's
yeah,
no way
it was...
all 99.9% of Smurfs wanted to go out with Smurfette. That's not a thing.
No, I
No,
agree.
one of them was an old man.
But it was weird that was even introduced into it. Do you know what I mean? Like they weren't
Yeah,
supposed to
I
be
don't know.
sexual beings.
I would have loved to be at that board meeting where they're like, we need to get a lady Smurf in there. And they're like, why?
What for?
That way people know that it's a lady. It's like, we just assumed that they were all just Smurfs. Some of these are voiced by women.
Yeah.
Can we just assume that some of them, she needs to have a dress and long hair? It's like, okay, I'm sorry, guy.
Yeah, but back in the 80s, that was acceptable, right? Like that was what you were expected to do.
It was like
that was
like when they made a female Stitch. They made a lady Stitch and they gave her boobs and eyelashes, and it's like, why?
Well, you know, He-Man and
And
She-Ra, right?
We've come full circle.
We're all it's always
Yeah.
back to Stitch, baby.
Oh, okay. Babs Bunny, Rich says. Yeah,
Mhm.
well, yeah, gotta say.
Lola Bunny, yeah.
Oh boy, okay.
That's my generation, baby. Lola Bunny.
I think that's more my generation.
It is.
Oh boy.
I was on like the tail end of it.
Yeah.
Like a rabbit tail?
I grew up in a world where Space Jam had already been existing. Lola Bunny had already been around. She wasn't the hot new thing, but she was definitely
The thing.
yeah.
I'll
Let's leave
take
it
your
at
word
that.
for it.
We'll leave it at that.
Hmm.
Oh my, that's great. I'm gonna try.
We
to
haven't
squeeze our
mentioned
screen in a
D&D
little.
once.
At all. It's okay. We
No.
were, we were breaking the ice and testing a few things prior to,
It's
an audience.
so hot in this booth, and it's not just because we're talking about Lola Bunny.
Yeah, I think it is because we were talking about Lola Bunny, and you're like, Thumper.
The face.
Ugh.
You just like your hand through your hair, like, oh god.
Oh man,
They're gonna find me out.
the jig is up.
Oh
need to-
no.
I need to calm myself.
Oh no.
Pray to the Lord. Pray to the Lord.
Matthew, I feel like people in yours and my generation were definitely spoiled with the most variety in like animated kid crushes, Just had
Yeah.
so many.
Yeah, I mean,
Thinking about it, yeah. I think it was also because it was a different art style that was used in a
Yeah.
lot of cartoons and whatnot. And it was a little, obviously, with the 90s was a little bit more gritty, if you will.
Yeah.
So everything was like, I wouldn't say hard angles, but everything seemed like moody, dark, and it was just a little bit more exaggerated, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a bad girl. I'm just drawn that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's for Rich. Just saw that in chat. So D&D, folks. Hey.
And
Hey.
that's our tangent, I guess.
There we
Just-
go.
just-
Yeah.
That's
let's
our
just jump the
one-
shark.
That's our one long tangent for the night. We'll
Yeah.
have 5
Mhm.
smaller ones at some point.
It's of course
Oh,
we
God.
always do.
Yes, we do.
So who wants to talk about the Guise of Untamed Beasts? Everybody's like, yeah, I'm kind of over that campaign. When's the new one?
You're still doing the Guise of Untamed Beasts?
You guys.
That's just started like a year ago, dude.
Yeah, I did, like, totally. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Somehow, I don't think the doctor is going to want cookies.
Then we'll give him a lollipop.
Okay.
Dang.
that
Is that your next character? A fisticuff.
Dude, I love
wit.
playing a fisticuffs guy. I just love the idea of a character just punching things.
Why aren't you a monk then?
Why don't you play an unarmed fighter?
Yeah,
Well,
An unarmed fighting style fighter.
an artifighter.
That's pretty much what Orn was. An
There you go,
unarmed fighter.
multi-class artifighter.
Terrible.
I don't know how
much.
much I can say about my plans for the next campaign, but
You can say whatever you want.
Exclusive.
there's
That
a
is
my
only
current
your
plan at least.
information.
There is a particular reason I'm picking the class and subclass that I am, because I wanted to play this specific archetype, but there wasn't a good way to have it be unarmed strikes, like naturally, without going out of my way to grab a feat or something.
Ooh, is he a pugilist?
Ew, you want to grab feet?
There is an actual, I think, class on the DM's Guild called the Pugilist.
Is there?
Yeah.
Because that would
Probably.
be cool. If he's an old timey diver dude,
He's a holy.
There's
If he's a cleric, he's a
class-
holy diver.
There's a class I definitely want to. I definitely at some point want to be like a scrappy grappler, like battle master fighter. Just like pick all like because battle master is just so customizable for fighters.
See, the problem with that is because again, Orn was that what you're saying, and going through, and she also was a battle master. So going through, she couldn't on a technical mechanical basis. You can't use a lot of the battle
No, you
master
can.
abilities.
See, here's how I'm going to defend how you can.
Okay,
There is a
I'm here.
difference. There is a mechanical and word difference between a melee weapon attack and a melee attack with a weapon.
Oh,
There
I'm not
is
talking.
different wording in both cases.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like a lot of the ones that it's like you need a weapon or a ranged weapon to do that, and I'm like, okay, you can't use this one. Okay, you can't use this one. You can't use it because it's more so. It's not so much that you can't use your
Yeah,
hands
I mean,
or your.
Yeah,
It's just like
that's
half of them you
fair.
can't use because it's like you have to have some sort of weapon to kind of like do that function kind of thing.
Sure, I still think there's plenty that you don't necessarily need. Like,
Well, they did add a lot too.
I mean, if you're wanting to like min max, yeah, probably you're probably not gonna get like the actual best ones. Like I think riposte, you need like a weapon for. But,
Yeah,
or like
riposte and parry, precision strike.
But like, you know, there's pushing attack, there's tripping attack, there's grappling strike, there's the ones that you can add to like your charisma and intelligence checks. I don't remember what they're called.
The rally
There's-
cry.
There's rally. Yeah, there's like
commanding
a bunch of
strike.
yeah. Like that's kind of like one of my biggest sads with D&D 5th edition is there because unarmed fighting for anyone that wasn't a monk took so long to even implement in any meaningful way. There is not a lot of support for an unarmed fighting style, which is a shame because it's such a fun idea. And I like the idea of like strength-based fisticuffs. So it's like a monk. It's like you could make a stronk, but it's like it's not as good. So it's
Well, I think the reasoning
whole
behind
thing.
that is because everything. I can't remember who I had this conversation with. With D&D, everything is magical, and to play a low magic campaign, this is kind of me veering off a little bit, coming back.
Yeah.
But to play a low magic campaign, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 classes and specific subclasses that you have to play in order to not have magic.
Yeah, you either have
So-
to be a monk to at least 6th level, or you get the Eldritch Claw tattoo magic item. I've looked into this, which is why I think there is one very simple solution that could be implemented in one D&D. Just make gauntlets a weapon.
I mean,
That's it. They're just like a special weapon that just replaces your unarmed strike damage.
Well, okay, if you want, I've actually built a handful of like new weapons to put into the game, so it's like there's a little bit more variety. I did put in, I think, a gauntlet or a cestus. I can't remember which one it was.
Ooh.
So it's like,
Matthew.
dude, do you
Start
understand the
calling
amount
you
of?
5 from League of Legends.
Do you know how much homebrew stuff I built? Either I've gotten
That's
from
fair.
other resources or like incorporated or just came up with, and it's just
Mhm.
like, let's expand on this a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I think making gauntlets a weapon is it's a nice thing. They could
It's-
fix a lot of those
it's-
issues.
Unorthodox, but sure, why not?
It would clear up the confusion of like an unarmed strike versus a melee weapon attack versus a melee attack with a weapon.
Mhm.
Jeremy Crawford would finally let paladins smite on unarmed attacks because he says we can't, even though it doesn't say divine smite, does not say melee attack with a weapon.
Oh,
It
they're
says
gonna- they're
melee
definitely
weapon
gonna-
attack.
They're definitely gonna change that.
I'm still mad about this, Jeremy.
They're definitely gonna change that. Where it's like you cannot do this, you cannot crit with a divine smite, you cannot.
I want to punch with the divine might of 1,000 suns.
Look, at the end of the day, again, I now remember with one of the other groups that I run the game for. I had this conversation with another DM. He was kind of a little agitated with some of the new rules, and I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's your table. The way you want to
Totally.
play is everybody's cool with it. Just stick to the
Yeah.
the rules that you know, not the ones you
At
don't.
the end of the day, it's all rule of cool, which is why if I've ever brought up the Divine Smite Unarmed Strike thing, I've almost always had DMs go, "Yeah, no, that's fine. You can. I'll let you smite on your punchies."
So Rich in the chat said in 3 you could get a tiny no, I'm sorry, I've read that wrong. I said follower with the mounted combat feat. Then you wear a helmet with a saddle for them, and they could negate his hits against you with a ride check.
That's amazing. I am the mount.
Right? Pretty cool.
Interesting.
I like flower better. Just get a tiny little flower. Put it in a hat.
I was thinking of like since we were
I'm
talking about someone
negating
that would ride on you like a mount. I was thinking of Flower from Bambi, the little skunk.
Oh. You know, Bambi's mother died, right?
Oh, true. Get got, Bambi's mom.
Little
So
hard, reckless thing.
All right, that's all for tonight,
like,
folks.
ha! Remember that time Dio was like, "Get got, Bambi's mom"?
And you're like, you
Get
tried to
got,
throw
Bambi's mom.
a bit. You tried to throw a ha f you, and he's just like ha f you. It's like, oh shit.
Thumper was cute.
Yes,
I agree.
he was. So Rich also asked prior to, what is each of your favorite characters from any campaign? And why don't we just start from the top as we go? Matt, Dio, Jody, Chris. I don't know who Chris is.
From any campaign, like, is this a character I've played or just a character in general?
Now listen, Matthew, this isn't a D&D 5e rules that we're breaking down word
No,
by
it's
word.
it's a little vague.
Yeah, I know.
Like 5e.
Yeah, sure, 5e.
From any campaign. Okay.
Let's go with 5e. Since that's the only one
I mean, at the end of the day, okay, let's say in the context of this, I think my favorite character out of this game, I think my favorite character we didn't get a lot from her, but I think my favorite character was L.O.R.E. And I think that's mostly because of what I knew and what you guys didn't.
Yeah,
And
We'll
I
never
can't say what,
know.
and we'll never know. Or
we'll
you
never
might.
know. I wanted to learn about L.O.R.E so bad, and I never did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think Redman wanted to be best friends with L.O.R.E.
He was He was like, "This is another magic person. She's like kind of shifty and mysterious, but like, she seems like a good person. Plus, like, I confronted her that one time about where her magic comes from, and she was very dodgy. I was just trying to figure, and then yeah, I need to like message Kayla and be like, "Hey, tell me everything about L.O.R.E."
Right? Like, how much
So
is it going to cost?
something for you guys to know is I still kept in touch with Kayla every so often, and I'd give her updates on her character because it's like, you know, it's a living, breathing world. I'm like, okay, your character's doing this. Okay, your character's doing this, and she'd be like, oh shit, okay, and she would actually send me messages on how to respond to certain things, and yeah,
Cool.
I think he meant characters you've played. That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, we can come back to that one. We can loop back around.
Sure. Go ahead, Dio. Take it away.
So these are like lore characters because I've only played like 3.
Oh, no. What? Any? It says from any campaign.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Lord, damn it! You're on a contract.
I
You
was
do not
like, I
speak of
played.
any-
I don't know.
there's
I
no
played
such
Azazel
thing
and
outside
then
of
2
lore.
1-shot, 3 1-shot characters if we want to count Whiskers O'Toole, my cat.
Matthew, contact Dio's agent. Let him know that we're gonna have to renegotiate the contract.
Letting them loose.
Yeah, we're cutting ties.
My favorite character, is I played a cleric named Oberon, in a home game. He was a Twilight cleric, who worshipped the goddess Selune. And yeah, he was just a super fun character. It was a small campaign. It was like, me and my best friend, and then my best friend's brother was the DM, and then my best friend's brother's, at the time, fiance, then wife, was the other player. So it was only 3 players and a DM. It was just like a fun, chill home game. And I played Oberon very like, oh, this guy was homeschooled his entire life, and he's just kind of like, he was like, short backstory, he was basically raised in like a boarding school for like warrior priests, basically. And he was just like, he was set out on his first big mission, and he was like, I'm off to do good things in the world, and then
Reality hit.
shit went so bad so quickly in our first big mission. And so it was a very fun and a very interesting character to play, especially because he was an Aasimar, and I made it in his backstory that his mother was essentially a celestial who was an attendant to Selune. So he had like a direct line of communication to at least his mom, a celestial, and a little bit more also his goddess. And then my best friend, he played a warlock. And we both kind of picked up very quickly that we related to our power sets and our patrons like similarly, but like very opposite side of the coin type thing. And so we had such a fun dynamic between our like it was such a fun game. And I'm bummed that we don't play anymore because his brother and then his brother's wife moved to a different state so that way she could do law school, and good lord, you don't have time to play D&D when you're in law school. So yeah, that's Oberon, baby.
I mean, she probably would have been the best rules lawyer.
True. But
D&D puns, folks.
we got him.
We got them here.
You hear them from me once every 10 years. That's my refresh rate.
Oh no. It'll be a decade till we hear another good one.
Yep.
What a long cooldown time. That's a bad AoE move, bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, is that like your daily or something? Like, what is that? Bro, what's the recharge rate on that thing, man? Like, how much RP you gotta build up to get that?
What? It's 1d12 long rests, actually.
Man. All right, what about you, Jodes?
You know, one of the favorite characters that I ever played, and this was with a bunch of people, live game, people that I met originally online, and we played this game for like 5 years. And it was a World of Darkness game. And I was playing Bubasti. So that was a Cheops cat, like an ancient Egyptian Cheops cat.
Okay.
So she was, because the original characters ended up going back in time to the Golden Age. And that's where they met my character. Her name was Isha, like I''SHA. And she was actually one of the, she was sort of like a daughter of the pharaoh, but she was in the harem. Like she was like one of the daughters of his harem. and like some, you know, cat shifter had come into the harem and had fun and then left something behind, right? And it was assumed that she was a daughter of the pharaoh when that wasn't really the case. But so she was basically a spoiled princess. That's pretty much what she was.
Oh wow.
And so her like going through life with like characters that had come from the dark age of medieval like England had gone back in time, and one of them was a bear shifter, Gorel, and one of them was a crow shifter, and one of them was a troll. and they had just come here, and then they basically found her. She got them out of a fix, and then she ended up going back with them to all sorts of different time periods and all sorts of shenanigans. But it was just really funny having her go through things that these guys thought were average everyday things, and they were all brand new for her because of course she came from a time way before theirs. But the fun thing about that campaign was that it actually ended on the day when the Aztecs said that the world was going to end. So that was the last session we had on that very night.
Wow.
2012?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really wild.
So did the now I'm kind of curious. Did the world end? Like,
Well, technically, yes. Because we were playing World of Darkness from like Werewolf, from the original way that they had written the books. And then when the Aztec New World started, they actually had a new set of World of Darkness books. And it was a brand new system. That's like, it just basically, we switched it into the new system. And it wasn't the same thing. It just wasn't. But she she and the Gorel actually eventually mated, and that was an interesting pairing. That was a very interesting pairing.
roll for performance.
Yeah. She was a spitfire, though. The thing about her was, like, she was this tiny little cat, basically, pretty small. I mean, smaller than a jaguar. Like, you know, she was a little bigger than a house cat. You know, like, they're not huge cats, right? And she was like vicious.
She was a go-getter.
Yeah. She was just vicious. Like, she was supposed to be this, like, you know, diplomacy kind of, no, she was all in your face. It was really fun to play her because nothing scared her. Like, it was fun.
So is there gonna be a little bit of flavor from her into your new character without giving anything away?
No, I don't think so. It depends. It depends. I think I'm thinking of the new character as more like a Wednesday-ish kind of character, because she came from, like, the Shadow Realm, right? She comes from a realm where she's basically partially dead, right? Like, so nothing weird and spooky actually scares her. She grew up with it. It's part of her every day, right? So, you know, she sees some, you know, big dark creature.
I was gonna just think.
What's that?
I
Sorry?
was gonna say the same. I was born in it.
Yeah,
I was
well,
born in the spooky.
but, you know, like, she's gonna see, you know, shadow creatures or undead or stuff like that and go, oh, isn't that cute? That's
Love
kind
it.
of how I think
Interesting.
of it. It's kind of how I think of it. Oh, see how
cool.
hard he's trying? You know?
I could just imagine this character going to the Feywild and seeing everything that's all beautiful and exaggerated and full of emotion, and be like, "Oh my God, what is this?"
She'll be very quiet, very, very quiet,
Guys, I'm
and
scared.
intimidated by all the colors.
What is this?
Yeah, it's gonna be strange, and I wanted to give her a bit of an accent, so I thought I might make her, I don't know,
Something
slightly French, perhaps, something like that. But
pretty
we'll
cool.
see. We'll see. We will see.
Merci. 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 We'll
I don't
see.
know. I don't know.
Bonjour, 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 bonjour.
And,
Just a little bit of it. Yeah.
What about
speaking
you,
of
Chris?
French, oh sorry, I gotta touch on this one real quick though. Like, just the French. Martin. Wait, no, not Martin. Steve Martin.
Charles Martinet.
Steve Martin, one of my favorite old school comedians, and what is it? Pink Panther, one of the more recent ones, where he's trying to learn English.
Hamburger?
Yeah, so he's like, I would like to be. He's like, buy, baby, a hamburger. Hamburger. I would like to buy a hamburger.
Are you talking about Peter Sellers?
No. It would
No,
like
no.
to
You're talking about the
be
Pink
a
Panther?
hamburger. Yeah.
Yeah, the Steve
there was
Martin
one that Steve Martin did.
Yeah.
Really?
It's-
Okay, I missed it. I don't know.
So he does
It's
such.
Okay.
something.
It's so funny.
Early 2000s, I think.
God, it's great.
Probably why I didn't see it.
But yeah, I'll before anything, I finally see that we got a couple more people stepping in here, so I would just want to reset the room as we do in Clubhouse, or as we did,
Welcome to Clubhouse.
reusing that skill. Hi, welcome. Now my mic is working. I just want to remind everybody that if you're watching, this is a little different than what you're used to seeing on Mondays. This is the Lore Lounge. This is where we just occasionally, once in a blue moon, get together when we don't have everybody in the party able to play, and we just sit around, talk D&D and all kinds of other stuff like anime and God,
Whatever seems to be the
first
topic of
half hour
conversation.
was really weird.
Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, Stitch.
It's a mixture of Lilo, Stitch.
I've been watching
anime.
Overlord lately.
Yo.
Yes, good. I like that. Yeah. So, and then not to forget to mention that we do this every stream you see us playing D&D is always going to be a extra live stream, and it is up to you if you want to help us out hit our $500 goal for 2022. We raise money for a local Penn State Children's Hospital here in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I don't know why I'm pointing, but it's that way.
It's right behind me.
Yeah,
You know?
it's right there, behind me, over there. Hi. Yeah, I know. Shh. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about you. Okay. And yeah, you can donate and ask questions. You don't have to donate to ask questions. Just hop in chat. If you don't already follow, drop a follow. Follow's free, and then you can hop in chat, ask us whatever you want. What else? That's it. Okay. Favorite character.
Yeah, you need to tell us.
Yeah. It's a tie. I'm more leaning towards Trovik just because I've been having so much fun with him. But I did want to bring up, since we are talking about characters from previous campaigns, one that I worked a long time, like half a year, developing before I got into this campaign. He was his name was Treble. His name was Treble, and he was this. It was this really cool campaign where the DM had this. Essentially, it was like the Four Horsemen kind of apocalypse thing happening, and it covered 20 years, so we had to make 20 player sheets from level 1 to 20, and we started at 20 and kind of hopped around, and it was really interesting to kind of like have to fully develop this character out all the way and know like what he's gonna be like this year, what he's gonna be like at this age, yada yada. And what was really cool was I was the one that got landed as the hybrid, where I got to like make two classes into one, or that's multi-classing, two races into one. So I took a Tabaxi, which is one of my favorites, and one of the smallest ones, the gnome, so that I could get a very small little Nico guy. So he had the ears, and he had the claws, and the paw feet, and the tail, whiskers, but he looked like a gnome for the most part, and he could hide, like he'd tuck his tail in his pant leg, and he'd usually wear a hat or something to cover his ears, and so everybody just thought he was a gnome. And it was really fun he was really fun to roleplay because anything that would be distracted, any type of cat features he would let slip a lot, like wanting to drink milk a lot, taking naps, spinning around and round, making the biscuits thing. Like, it was just super fun. It was a fun roleplay experience. What about you, Matt? Since we kind of like did divertly answer.
I guess, well, here's the thing. I've played 3 characters.
Ever.
I'm currently playing my 3rd on a Friday game with a bunch of other people that invited me.
Louie, they're all small ducks.
Damn.
I'm gonna have to say my very first D&D character was a tiefling sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
His name, well, he had several names that he was known by different people, we'll say, but the rest of the group called him GC, which was short for Glacis Syrah. And he was pretty much the angstiest teenager you'd ever met. It was... I played this character based on what I understood of both the class and the race, where tieflings are mistrustful and whatnot, and I just ramped everything up to like 11 for everything. So I wrote him out as a character who naturally began to develop magical abilities, didn't know how to control them, along with the fact that he was a tiefling and nobody liked tieflings, so it was just like his life was just a living hell all the time. And I think the one thing that I played him as a very angry person, which was surprisingly easy to do. And it was interesting because everybody was playing these not necessarily jovial characters, but more of like these, oh, let's do this, huh? And just like me as almost like the antagonist of the group. And the reason why I loved playing him the most was because the others slowly helped him grow into actually being, a member of society, someone who can actually enjoy living and accepting people's help and not feeling like everyone's just out to get him, which was 90% of the case. And also, I actually physically wrote a journal. One of his character quirks that I got as building the character was he had a journal that he created that preserved his legacy. So every time we had a session, I kind of threw in moments where he'd be sitting there writing in his journal, and I physically would write out journal entries. I have like a book this thick of journal entries.
Wow.
There's a couple of time skips in there, but I think it's like a period of like 20 years worth of journal notes.
I really like that you did the thing that you really need to do in a game of D&D with like an edgy loner character. They stop being a loner eventually.
You actually grew. That's nice. Things actually changed.
Yeah, it's one of the characters became his best friend because he was the complete opposite. He was always a happy-go-lucky, and he's just like, here, you know what? Let me show you around. And it's just like, leave me the fuck alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it's like,
leave me alone, but I'll follow you around anyway.
Yeah. And then there was it was funny because somehow all the characters ended up becoming like revolving around him in a certain way. Even though he was like in the very beginning, I played him as a very antagonistic character against all of them. And it was one of those points where before I understood, oh, you're not supposed to do this in D&D. You're supposed to play as a party, not
this
just
is
a
yes
lone
and
wolf.
not yes fuck you.
It's supposed to be yes and not no and go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Not even a no, but just a no, leave.
It was an interesting one where it's like one character became his best friend, one character became his love interest, one character became like a rival and a mentor, and then another one became like more of like a sibling of, if you will.
So Smurfs.
Sure.
You were the angry Smurf. What's his name?
I don't know.
Grumpy? That's the Seven Dwarves.
Grumpy Smurf.
Yeah, we're just combining them.
Are they all named after like?
There was only 7 Smurfs, right?
Verbs.
I don't know. Yes,
dude. Now that we're talking, I don't think I've ever actually in D&D like actually role played a romance. I don't think that's a thing I've done.
I actually have. And it's quite fun. It's quite fun when it works out and when you trust the other players.
Yeah.
Because you have to trust the other players.
Like the couple times where like I talked about it being a thing with another player, the campaign would end and then we'd be like, oh,
yeah,
I guess we're not doing that, so that's fine.
I mean, it depends on how comfortable you are with that kind of thing. You can fade to black on a whole bunch of stuff. Like you don't need to, play it out or anything. But yeah, but it can lend poignancy to a story that I think can really help make it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's making close bonds. It's flirting with your friends. Like it's a good time.
It was for me. It was one of my friends. It was her character that was initially interested in him, and it's like, really? And she's like, yeah, I love edgy bad boys. It's like,
you were,
and it was
sexy
very
man.
It was very one-sided for a long time until eventually he warmed up to it, and it was just like, okay, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, you were the anime teenager. Like, I don't even know what boobs are.
You were the tsundere bad boy. You were like Kyo
Mhm.
Soma from critically acclaimed
She's like,
anime
"Uh-oh,
and
I
manga
dropped
Fruits
something.
Basket.
My panties are showing." You know, anime, how that is. And then you just went, "Go!" Oh. You
It's
know,
more
and
of
then,
like,
of course, your face turns into a completely different animated face, and that's my 41-year-old take on anime.
Well, that doesn't happen in the critically acclaimed anime and manga Fruits Basket.
no, it doesn't.
I love Fruits Basket.
It was
dude.
a good
That's
one.
Like, the original 2001 one was like my first ever exposure to like good romance anime, and then when the new one came out, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I rewatch it like twice a year.
Oh God, Jody, please tell us about Rich's character, Captain Sir Garrick Ashburn.
Oh, jeez.
The
Yeah.
greatest
Sorry.
repopulator of the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, he was interesting. I almost think Rich should be on here to talk about this because it's his character. We were in a campaign then with a Purple Knight. What are they called? From it's Greyhawk. It was a Greyhawk thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. And he was on a quest. I think he didn't think he was worthy, and he went on a quest to try and prove himself worthy of his lady love back home. And so he would collect people around him, and his name was Finn. and one of the things that happened was that a whole bunch of us ended up meeting him and sort of traveling with him, and Garrick was one of those characters who was a bard who was very
traditional bard.
Yeah, a very much traditional bard. Yes, yeah, ended up Finn, Purple Dragon Knight of Cormyr. Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, and Rich's character would get the ladies to spend time with him, and then he would go on his merry way, and he was very money conscious. So it was funny because like things like getting treasure and money and stuff like that would be very much a motivation for him, and it would make him very brave when he otherwise was not. So he would like kick people because he wanted his money, but he wasn't prepared to back that up.
Oh no,
Garrick, you want a Scooby snack, buddy?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, he was a fun character. And in the end ended up being very noble in his own way, but he took a long time getting there. I can't remember the name of my character. Was it Brianna? I can't remember. I think it was. Rich, do you remember? I don't know. But she was a dragon. She was like a dragon. What were they called? Because it wasn't a dragonborn. This was 3.5. So she was turning into a dragon. It was kind of like a character
Scaly.
class. No,
A
it was
half dragon?
well.
Animorphs.
Naya Bryce. Yes, that was her name, Naya Bryce. Okay. Yeah, and she was a half dragon, I think. Yes. And the way that they played it, the way that the GM played it was that it was kind of like the Buffy the Vampire thing where the vampires turn into vampires only when they're about to bite you, right? Like you only see their faces go like full on vampire when they're ready to fight. And this was kind of what happened with her.
So when they take their earrings out and their
yeah,
bracelet
right.
in their neck, that's it. That's
yeah.
it, motherfucker.
Well, like
It's
she
all
would
now.
she'd go full on, like she'd, grow the fangs and the claws and all that stuff when she was fighting. But you'd never, like, she just looked like a normal human woman when you were looking at her otherwise, right? And the funny thing about this was that Finn always had his back turned when she went full on dragon. So he never saw her do it. It was hilarious. But I remember one of the times, for instance, where they were all camping overnight, and she developed wings overnight. Like, this was because she was developing more and more as a dragon as she went on, and
Yo,
yeah,
this is like the Disney Channel original movie, The 13th
it kind of
Year.
was, yeah. So, yeah, thank you, Garrick. Yeah, he. Anyway, so she needed help having someone like modify her top so that her wings could actually be free, right? Like, there's this like scream from her tent late at night, right? Like, all of a sudden, like people had to help her figure this out. So it was just really funny the way that we played it. Little by little, she was developing more dragonish characteristics, and
Was it the dragon descended?
yes, yeah, the dragon descendants, yeah,
Not to
Yeah.
be confused with the Ascendant Dragon Monk.
no, no, and I can't even remember what class she was. Like, it didn't even really matter, to be honest. It was all about the dragon. It was really funny. But she developed she developed a crush on Finn, who was obviously in love with someone else. So that was like a doomed crush from the very start. And I think Garrick was like the brother that sort of helped her, like, the shoulder to cry on for a moment.
I'm willing to
So-
schmooze around, but you're in the safe zone.
yeah. She was more like the little sister. So yeah, lucky for her.
Speaking of crushes, do you feel like there's any crushes floating around, or like there were or are existing in our current campaign?
In this one? I don't know.
None that I picked up on.
I felt like there was one, but our bard departed. As I was picking up on on one, and
Yes.
Trovik was like not interested.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I sort of got the impression that was maybe that could have become a thing, but you never know. I don't
He's
know.
got his eyes on big old what is her name? The other
other Minotaur.
the other
Voda.
Minotaur. Yeah, that's
Voda.
it.
Voda. Yeah.
She's got my Voda.
Yeah.
Don't forget to register to Voda.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Rich, damn. I was trying to get him to jump in with us for the hell of it, but
Yeah, that's okay.
it's cool. It makes us
Yeah.
look popular in chat, so you're helping out, friend.
It's all good. But yeah, that was a fun character. I think was it Dave that was running that one, Rich? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Dave. Although, yeah, I think it must have been Dave, because I can't, because Gord was playing Finn, and okay, yeah, he confirmed it, yeah. So our friend Dave moved to Collingwood, so he is like 2.5 hours away now, so we can't
Is this
have
your
him running.
10-year campaign?
This was the 25-year,
campaign?
yeah,
That's so
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, we actually, it was a long, long time. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen each other. Basically, by the time the pandemic started, we were already kind of,
Wrapping up.
no one really was wanting to run anything. People were just kind of drifting. And so when the pandemic came and we couldn't play, honestly, it was kind of the death knell.
Yeah.
Still
So
25-year game. That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
It took a pandemic to end it.
Well,
It's
we are
"That's
still
it,
friends.
You nerds. You've been
Yeah, I
playing
know,
too
right?
long.
Yeah. We are still
Virus.
friends. I'm still in touch with them and still speak to them on occasion. So it's not like, the relationships have ended, but we haven't seen each other in person since the pandemic started. So, and honestly, I would have to drive an hour to get to where we would be playing live.
Mhm.
And doing that, while it's dark and snowing, is never fun.
True.
So I'm kind of relieved it went online, and unfortunately, these guys aren't really equipped to do all of this online very much. So we tried, and it kind of didn't work.
It sucks. It takes a lot. I remember when our first home, well, not first home campaign, but a guy, Robert Davis, I think his name is. I want to say Robert Davis. He's a writer for the DM Guild. Real popular dude. He's voice actor too. He moved over to the Netherlands, but before he moved, we were playing at his house, and I hated driving all the way up there, being around his big, huge dogs that farted like every 3 seconds, and it was like death. Just, it was so bad, and they were huge dogs, so they're climbing all over, trying to hump you, and it's just like, this isn't fun. At least not for me. Maybe somebody else might have enjoyed it.
Wow, you're more a cat person. I get it.
Yeah, I am. I like some small, manageable animals that I can dominate easily with 2 hands.
Yeah. And if they fart, it's
knock it
little
off, Dio.
fart.
I see you. I see that look, Dio. Knock it off.
I'm just saying, I don't think Lola Bunny would appreciate your comments.
Either with Stitch, or Hannah meets family. But
Oh no!
what are you doing back there? So yeah, I just distracted myself. We pulled the campaign down to my house, which was super duper fun because I would cook and make dinner for everybody, and they would bring over dishes, and I would play. I had my computer next door and my sound system, so we'd play music, and I'd cue if it's action, it was that. We started doing that. We had a whole lot of fun. Then he moved to the Netherlands, and then we're like, well, let's try to play online, and his internet just was god awful. And then he said he fixed it, so we'd get through a session. Then we're like, okay, let's try this online, and or not online, streaming. Let's that's where L.O.R.E started, and we made it 6-7 episodes or something, 6-7 games, and then it was just it did not work. Plus the fact that he's 5-6 hours depending on the year ahead of us in the Netherlands, so we had to get up early on Saturdays just to do it. So we're we're up at 10 a.m. drinking our coffee, let's play some D&D. Anyway, that's my story about that.
Yeah.
That's a fun one, though.
But he was a phenomenal DM too. He was right in between my age and your age, somewhere in there, and so he had every book, every what do you call it? Not generation, but
Every edition.
every edition. Yeah, that
Iteration.
yeah. And he wrote his own TTRPG, which was really cool.
Yeah.
He was something else. So very cool. I miss that guy a lot. Anyway, D&D.
Yeah.
D&D.
Yeah, the transition from in person to online was definitely a challenge. Trying to figure out what worked, what didn't work, who was interested in what, and having the tech to support it sometimes. And
Yeah.
it's very different from being at a table with everybody there and me using an actual TV screen that I put down on the table and create all these battle maps and visualize it, and
cool.
then we have all the tokens on a 3D a 2D screen that I would kind of shift around with my laptop at the time when I had one.
Don't they have a Kickstarter now for a software program that actually builds your buildings for you that you can be inside? Have you seen that?
Yes, it's on Facebook all the time. It looks amazing.
It does, doesn't it?
Table
Oh
Spy?
my
Yeah.
god.
No.
No,
It's called,
it starts with an M.
Emir,
It doesn't start with an M or something, like Makir or something like that.
Mateer,
yeah.
Mateer.
Mickey
I think
Mouse Funhouse.
it's Mickey Mouse Funhouse. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it
Play
is.
D&D in my funhouse.
Gosh, Mickey.
Hot dog, diggity dog. It's a brand new day. What you looking for? Hot
Well
dog.
done. Hmm.
Oh, jeez. Oh, for
But yeah.
initiative.
The things that are being made now to make it more possible to have a good game online are insane.
It's-
like in 2.5 years, basically, this has all come into. It's coming into its own. It's actually, remote is becoming a lot easier to do than it ever was.
Like, what was the one that we tried last year? We had somebody come in and run a one-shot Tailspire. That alone, phenomenal. Same kind of thing. You play inside the map, all 3D, and you can. But it was just it's so complicated to use, and to stream it, you forget about it. We got lucky to get away with it that one
Which
time.
is why we find Foundry so accessible and easy to use.
Foundry.
Go check out
Foundry VTT.
Uh-huh.
I don't even remember it anymore.
We're not sponsored. It's whatever.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think
We
I actually
were
have.
at one point. We were kind
We
of
were
like
soft
pseudo-
sponsored.
Yeah, we were soft. Yeah, what do you call it? Like hip pocketed.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, hey, can you give us another free copy? Yeah, sure. Just keep
It's like,
plugging
hey,
us.
can we? I don't even remember what it was. It was just like, hey, can we? What do you think about this? It's like, yeah, sure, go here. Here's a couple
Yeah.
copies. Plug
Yeah, it's
it
pretty
and see
much
what
like,
happens. It's like,
Can
cool.
we use your Can we use your product for free, and in exchange we talk about your product for free?
Yeah,
Which
it's a bartering.
That's a fair trade.
Right. Yeah, because I don't really know how sponsorships work, because I've never ever done one, but I've always asked to I'm like, well, hey, do you do sponsors? No. And then my brain's like, come on, Chris, hustle, work faster. And I'm like, barter? They're like, what? I'm like, barter. Do you barter? Like, you give me your product for free, and then I'll plug it like every time. So I got some dude from Germany sending me a D&D shirt that for his geekydice.com or something like that. I'm still waiting on that, because I told him, I was like, dude, you send me this shirt, this specific one, because it looks amazing, and I will wear it every episode. I don't care how hot or cold it is. He's like, yeah, all right, cool. Anyway, that's beyond
You
the
say
point.
that.
Yeah, I know, it's still not
Well, will
here.
you
It's been
remember
like a month. I will. I'll because in this house it's so old and drafty. I'll in the winter I have a space heater back there, and even then I'm hoodie, sweatpants, winter socks, hood up, and still cold, and I'll just slap the shirt on top, just hey, do my little song and dance. Da 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 da. geekydice.com.
Baby,
Hey,
my heart's on fire.
seeing that we got a little bit of downtime, do you guys want to take a comfort break, come back and hang out for a little bit, and then we'll kind of play it by ear, see what you guys want to do from there?
Cool.
All right, cool.
Sure.
Hey, anybody sticking around in chat, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 5-ish or so minutes. All right.
Hey, what happened to the stream? Where's the D&D?
Stay tuned, adventurers. We'll be right back.
Oh, I get it. Pee break.
We're back.
Okay.
We're back. We had
One Piece,
ourselves a
am I
little bit
right?
of a cookie break.
I wanted to catch us in the middle of that. Oh my!
Had some of our
For
large
now,
heavenly
we're gonna
cookies.
talk like this for the rest of the interview.
Because it's so much fun.
I simply do not understand why nobody's donating yet.
I always wondered what it'd been like to live in the Renaissance era.
Go to a Ren fair. I see. There you go.
Cattail going by.
I know. It's like,
Yeah.
my mustache is getting away from me. Anyway, hi, how you doing, folks? Just to reset the stream.
Yeah.
We're here doing their lore lounge thing that we do once in a blue moon. And this one, as usual for our tradition, is for Extra Life. So don't forget, you can donate and give generously, even if it's $1. You can hit exclamation point Extra Life in chat, all one word. It'll bring up the link. You can click directly on that and goes directly to our Penn State Children's Hospital fundraiser through Extra Life. Or you can go in the About section down below if you're watching on mobile or the desktop computer and click the About section and then go look for the little Extra Life tab and click right on it. Pew, 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 pew. Donate. Anyway, so we were talking about, God, what were we talking about? Stuff. And then
we were talking a little bit about our characters we've played or characters we've liked. A little bit of comparison of certain editions in a roundabout way. But what do you have for us now, Chris? Do you have any other sort of topics or questions you'd like us to discuss for this time?
Boy, I'm sure glad you asked. So we have another question from Mr. Ranger Gauntlet, who we pretend not to know. And the question is this right? Right here are some topics for discussion for the voice actors in the crew. Who would that be? Do you find that D&D or RPGs in general help you hone your craft? Good question, I say, young lad. Very good.
What do you think, Chris?
Oh yes, the most experienced professional voice actor of all of us here, I would be more than glad to answer. Yes, the answer is yes, it certainly does. For me personally, I will always tell new players, or even anybody just in general that does voice acting and is always like, I've always wanted to do that. I'm just like, have you ever taken improv classes for voice acting? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, just add dice, and your teacher is your storyteller. I mean, you get to hone your craft all the time, especially if you love roleplay aspects of D&D, which is my favorite part. But yeah, long answer for that one. Anyone else want to field the question?
I
What do you
will
think,
also give
Matt?
a long answer.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Dio.
Yes, and the reason being, especially in at least my world as being a character actor, the best way to perform a character is to fully understand and grasp them. You don't have to go full like method. You don't have to do, but like you really have to understand the character inside and out. You have to know how they would react to certain things. You have to be able to improv as that character. And D&D, like Chris said, it is great for that. Being able to fully, especially if you're actively role-playing, you put yourself fully in the shoes of this fictional character that you made up, and everything that you're doing is not how would I, Dio, react to this. It is how would Azazel react to this. You fully embody someone that isn't yourself. You draw on your own experiences to build a character and to make a story, and then you execute on that. And it's like, yeah, that is how you understand a character. I did a workshop this weekend where straight up all of the characters that we read for in the workshop was from the director's home D&D game. Like, he's the DM in this D&D world, and he just gave us, here are the characters in this world. Fully embody these characters and act it out, and it's great. It's an absolutely fantastic tool, because a lot of times, especially in higher paced stuff in the acting world, is you do have to make character decisions pretty quickly on anything improv based, on anything that's like ADR related, where you don't have a ton of time to think stuff through as the character because you need to fit a certain time frame, that sort of thing. So yes, absolutely.
Jody?
I'm not really a character actor per se, but I will say that role playing is kind of my improv. I don't really take improv classes, but I've been playing D&D for a very long time.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, I find it really helpful. I do. And even in work that I do that's in the commercial and narration end of things, because I have to sound like a human being. It's not easy to be conversational when you're doing something that isn't written conversational.
Right.
That could be hard.
Like when you're going for like audible.com or something, you're like, what's my motivation? You're a traveling rogue and your parents died.
Yeah, it's
in a
less
war,
about
and you're like,
motivation.
what?
Yeah,
What kind
it's
of-
honestly,
for
I don't really
Audible?
do that because I don't come from an acting background. I come from
Yeah.
a singing background. Like my background is more musical than it is acting. So this is my acting background. Playing D&D is basically my,
Yeah, same.
my way of learning. So, yeah, but I think a lot of it helps me with theater of the mind because a lot of times when you're doing whatever you're doing that requires acting, you have to be in your head with a lot of
Yeah.
what's going on, and no one
'Cause
else can see
normally-
that process.
You're in here.
Yeah,
You are not in the environment of whatever this Honda commercial
Exactly.
or this animated show is taking. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting in a booth talking to a blank wall with headphones on and a microphone in my face. It's about the most unnatural thing you could possibly be doing.
Yeah.
And you have to sound like you're having a conversation with somebody, right? Because otherwise it's just totally useless and people these days can smell BS a mile away.
Mhm.
So you really have to make it sound real. And to do that, you need a very healthy theater of the mind. And D&D definitely helps with that.
That's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Awesome. Love it. Mr. Garo.
As a player, I would say yes. As a DM, I would say sometimes. Because as a player, you're one character. You can get as into it as much as you want. And I can definitely say in the very limited number of characters I've played, yes, it's definitely I can get into that give myself a moment, get into that mindset, and then just I am now that character. I sound like that character. I act like that character. There's some breaks in between where it's just like the more mechanical, technical side of D&D, where it's like, hey DM, what's this, and do I know this as my character? Yada yada yada. As a DM, I say sometimes, because as a DM, you have everyone that you play, and a lot of times there's only so many variations I can make, or at least I will say variations that I can make. I'm not an advanced voice actor, but I can definitely say I'm a decent voice actor, and a lot of times this, jumping back between like 5 to 6 characters all at once can sometimes be like, what did this character sound like? I may have the idea of what they had in their mind, but it's like, did they sound like this? Did they have more of a husky voice? Did they, was it a feminine or was it male? I'm like, what's their name again? It's like, I don't know. There's way too many people. But it's definitely helpful though, to kind of get you in that mindset in situations where you need to do multiple roles, regardless of video games, animation, or commercials, promotional, anything like that. When you have, I think it's more for the former than the latter, but yeah, I guess that's my perspective on it, on both roles at least.
Yeah. Voice acting as a DM is very much kind of like you are the multi-tool. Let's see how quickly you can switch between your tools.
Yeah.
And how, like, you people talk about tools and toolkits and that sort of thing when they're talking about the voices that a voice actor has, and that's very much the DM's bit in terms of the role playing is you need to have a tool that can at least somewhat convey literally everyone that's not the player characters.
And sometimes the player characters. On
A
occasion.
lot of times I mean, I don't
self-insert character.
I haven't actually done cartoon voice acting, or I think I did it once and it was fun, but not something I want to do on a regular basis. But from the people that I talk to who do this on a regular basis, a lot of what they do is use their physicality to get into the voice.
Yes.
So they're walking in a certain way, or they're hunched, or they're gesticulating with their arms wildly or whatever. Like they have some physical thing that they do that gets them into the particular voice that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that can help with a lot of this.
And actually, to add on to that, back when I used to play at the table with everybody physically there, yeah, it was a lot easier as the DM to kind of pick up on all those things because the mannerisms helped bring them to life. Doing it online, I'm sitting here. My movements are limited. I still try here and there, but it's like very much stationary.
Yeah.
It's like my 20s versus my adulthood now. Like in my 20s, I could go to a bar and dance, and I would dance and I would have a great time. Now, chair dancing. Cool. Arms, face. That's it. That's all you get.
Sure, why not?
My movement is limited.
My legs are moving, but not much.
But this is interesting because like now we're playing and we can see each other's faces on camera, right? Like when I was playing with the other group and we tried to play it online, we weren't actually mostly on camera. We were using
just your sound.
Fantasy Grounds.
Just
And
text.
we were on Skype actually. So we were hearing each other on Skype, but we were on Fantasy Grounds playing that way. So we weren't really seeing each other. Occasionally we would like put on our cameras, but mostly not. And I think it really had a detrimental effect to the game. You would think that you could get away with a little more voice acting if no one was seeing you, that it would be actually easier to do that. But strangely enough, I don't think it actually helps.
That's interesting.
Well, the thing is, it does take away from the not the progression, it's not the word I'm thinking for, the immersion of the game itself, because on my other group that I run for, I'm the only one who's on camera, because it's like I'm on camera because I want you guys to see my facial reactions and things like that, or if you have a question, and just me, instead of just the subtle pauses, because none of them are. And it's like when there's a pause or someone's asking a question, they either didn't hear them or not fully paying attention. It's just kind of like there's a break and it's just silence for a moment before someone catches on or I interject. And it's like having that facial recognition. It's like, no, I'm here. I'm not saying anything. I'm watching. You can see my face. If I'm looking away, then it's like, or I have to take my headphones off for a second. Yeah, then you know. DM's, hey, DM over here. And it's like, oh shit, I'm sorry. But it's like, no, I'm sitting here, I'm listening, trying not to, make any sort of facial gestures that either give away things or laugh or be like mortally terrified of what the heck you're about to do.
Yeah,
and I
so
think it does take away. I wouldn't say that we're not having fun. I think the only thing is just like, yes, there are those moments of silence where it's like a break between conversations. It's like, okay, what do you guys want to do? And then it's just like pause. And then finally someone says, okay, yeah, I want to do this. Let's prepare this because we got to deal with this situation. And then it's kind of like, then the conversation starts going, but it happens too much. And I guess without the, almost like you being it's like you can't physically be there, but at least your presence is there. And that's what adds to it. That's kind of like looping back into the voiceover as well. It's being able to see the expressions definitely helps. But then again, obviously, when you're watching a commercial or watching a show, whatever you lend your voice to, you don't see the person, but you hope that the voice conveys whatever's being shown.
Nice. That reminds me of just I want to touch on real quick was when I got into improv was Jeff Grimwood's class, and he's up in New York City. I'm here in PA, so obviously it's through Zoom. And what I thought was like the norm was these improv classes happening over Zoom, and he's explaining to me with his normal students that would meet him at his studio are like, it's so much different. It's so much more limiting because you're just sitting here. So his whole explanation about how to learn to adapt and be able to improv just as good, if not better, in different ways by adapting to just only visual through the cameras, and like his warm up is always count to 20, and nobody can say the same number, and you have to visually work with each other to know who's gonna go. So we've all adapted, like, if you're gonna say the next number, you raise your hand, or something like that, like little simple
Gesture
things
like
that
you're gonna go next.
yeah, things that we've learned to adapt from our physical games to our Zoom games now online is with, you have to finding that way to make up for where you're lacking and missing, to shine on the brighter benefits of, to make best of what you got, I guess is what. So I think we're all very, very lucky to be in the age of technology that we live in right now, because I tell you, I can't even fathom trying to play on something like a chat room. Like, I've heard about people that played those kind of campaigns. I'm like, how? Why would you even bother? Like, I've done AOL chat. It's not that exciting.
I have to say, having done this in the past, it can be very interesting because it's kind of like writing a novel together.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you think of it that way, then it's a different experience, definitely. And I wouldn't necessarily call it role playing in the way that we're doing it now, but it is definitely an interesting experience. And yeah, it is kind of like improv with writing.
See, there you go. You taking the good of what it is and shining the light on it, and like, I didn't even think of that, and now it's like,
I used to be in chat rooms all the time. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Now my brain kind of wants to sit there and be like,
CompuServe. That was where I got started.
D&D.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man, totally.
Oh my god.
ICQ, man.
ICQ. I remember ICQ. Yeah. But yeah, there were all sorts of chat rooms that were for role playing.
Tupperware remix party song.
My hip hop name. ICQ. I see.
Yeah, I guess it just in a way it's I guess adding on to you is in going online is a lot more convenient, and you can definitely play with people around the world. I can definitely say, aside from Roxanne and Jody, who are in different, well, to a degree are a little bit further away from me here in Canada, but the rest of you and everyone else that I play with online is like all over. Like, granted, most of it is the USA, but I do play with people from like Europe as well. So
yes.
I mean, I think accessibility is always going to be a net positive. Do I like playing in person at a real table? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I could play at a real table with you guys all the time, yes, I would do that in a heartbeat. But we can't. So this is still accessible to us. So it's still a net positive.
Yeah.
I'd much rather play D&D online with people I like talking to than not be able to play D&D because the people I like talking to don't live in the same area code as me. Like,
I'm actually playing with a bunch of people in LA.
Yeah.
Actually, one of them is actually in Seattle now. I think our GM is actually in Seattle. And yeah, it's an interesting experience. I mean, they are 3 hours behind me. So they start, it's like 9:30 at night when I start playing with them. So it's quite late for me, but I would never in a million years be able to play with these people unless this whole remote thing happened. There would be no way.
Yeah. And
I wouldn't even really know them.
Yeah, and with accessibility comes like a much easier way to, I don't want to say spread because D&D is not like a virus.
Yeah.
But like it's a lot easier for something to gain traction, become more popular if it's more accessible to people. So I definitely think having D&D be an online option, there's been plenty of people that in the last couple of years they've had their first ever D&D experience entirely through an online game, which is, that's great. That's awesome that now more than ever people are able to discover D&D because, and other TTRPGs as well, because it's accessible to anyone with an internet connection, which is most people. So
While you're on that subject, seems like a good segue to pop the next question in chat. Do you see RPGs being more or less popular by going online?
I would say more popular.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's definitely become more popular because of the whole pandemic situation. And I think,
Yeah.
honestly, between using D&D Beyond and Wizards of the Coast as the headrunners for D&D, it's the way they're going. Everything is becoming digital, or not becoming. Everything is slowly becoming just digital in a sense,
Mhm.
and everything that they're planning on doing. So it's like,
Yeah. And D&D's kind of been riding a wave of increased popularity for years because of like it started to come into popularity a lot more, at least for me, like towards the end of high school, and then Stranger Things started hitting, and that made D&D much more popular because Stranger
Critical
Things was
Role.
saw by
Yeah.
everyone. Critical Role became such a huge thing on the internet, so all of a sudden you had these huge avenues in these huge popular forms of media for a Netflix TV show and a streamed live show that exposed people to Dungeons and Dragons. So that wave, and then you put on top of that a couple of years after that, all of a sudden there's a pandemic, and D&D Beyond has like fully emerged at this point, and these virtual tabletop simulators are starting to crop up, and all of a sudden it's just kind of like this perfect storm for like, yeah, D&D is going to take off huge. And the success of D&D also kind of helps other TTRPGs get off the ground, because while Dungeons and Dragons is a fun RPG, it is by no means anyone's first and last TTRPG. By no metric does that ever happen. So, yeah, the fact that D&D has become so popular, I'm sure some people like to see that popularity as a detriment in some weird aspect. That overall, because it's the flagship game of a whole genre of games, that helps elevate all TTRPGs to another level, which is it's fantastic. I'm so happy that TTRPGs are really benefiting from this big wave of D&D, followed by this big wave of accessibility that's making the whole medium a very popular thing. Avatar: The Last Airbender made a TTRPG. It was like insanely funded on Kickstarter, and they made it. Like, people like TTRPGs. People are gonna make more TTRPGs now. This is great. This is a huge win.
Yeah. And websites, that I never even knew existed, like Drive Through RPG, are now just like huge giants, and the accessibility for developers that are making these indie games and stuff can get signed up with them so easily. Like Grant Howlett, the guy, the super duper awesome guy that we had on our show last fall. Last year, for the Bones, the one that he does, the skeleton,
the Skelly Bones boys.
He's on there, plus his company's on there too. Like, not only is everything that he's published as a single page writer, but then him and his partners that do the legit RPGs, that the bigger stuff, is all on there too.
He designed an RPG recently with Marisha Ray.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. What was it called? Like a familiar problem?
Yeah.
I want to play that. That sounds like a great time. But yeah, it's just great. I like it. More games.
Yeah, really. The accessibility is just the key word of the whole conversation right there. Is that's phenomenal, just where we're at these days. I wouldn't know squat about anything if it weren't for online. I mean, I'm one of the critters that got into D&D from 2016 when I started watching Critical Role on Geek and Sundry.
And if it's allowed, if I could get on my Bleeding Heart progressive soapbox, the accessibility also has brought forth a really important thing as well, which is like
save the whales.
In a word, accountability, because it's like with more exposure, with more accessibility, with more popularity, there are more eyes on these products, and it's a lot easier to just kind of point out some kind of nasty things that are baked into the core of some of these fantasy elements, like
Oh, I
the
see.
kind of
Okay.
I know where
yeah,
you're going.
like the kind of like racism that's kind of baked into a lot of like this entire group of people is normally chaotic evil, and it's like, oh, I don't know about that. So that sort of thing, where like we're seeing a push forward a lot more to, in a way, like I don't want to make it sound like all games should be insanely progressive, because that's the way it has to be in this, but like, you know, you kind of get to decode a lot of these stereotypes that are involved with a lot of these different fantasy races that are built on tropes, which are built on tropes, which are built on tropes, which are built on J.R.R. Tolkien, which is built on Norse
Yeah.
mythology. And I think kind of freeing that up a little bit to just kind of be like, nope, that's
Yeah, we don't accept
there is no such
that,
thing as
or-
inherently bad types of people. You'll just kind of let it go, and it allows for more reimaginings of characters that aren't based on old stereotypes. It's a reinvention, and because of that, then we have the whole thing like with the recent Hadozi with Wizards of the Coast, where people were like, hey, that's like pretty racist, maybe fix that, maybe hire some more proofreaders, preferably proofreaders of color, that sort of thing, where it's like we
whole
can
slavery
then
thing.
look at these old things that it's like, okay, these are bad, let's make them a little bit better, because accessibility is the word of the day, as we've learned. And it just kind of makes the game space more welcoming for people, which is great, because inclusivity is something that has to follow accessibility. If something is accessible but it's not inclusive, it is inherently exclusive. So like I like that this increased popularity has made it so people can criticize certain choices and be like, maybe don't have
Do
a group
that,
of
but do this
of
instead.
bardic monkey people that were enslaved for their unique strengths. That's real weird, man. And then they can fix it because they listened to criticism and they want to make something that's inclusive for people. Because if you're really this attached to these kind of racist elements, that's not that. Ooh.
Well, there are a lot of women playing now too, and
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. I mean, 25 years ago when I was playing, I happened to luck out into playing with the guys I was playing with, because I was the only woman in the group.
Yeah.
And they were very accommodating and kind and fun to play with, and that was I was lucky, because I had been in other groups where they made me take an hour and a half to make a character and then killed her in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
like I've had that happen.
Yeah, and it's so weird that TTRPGs and nerd stuff in general became such like a boys
The boys
field,
club
where it's like,
kind of thing.
that doesn't make any sense. Like, this is the world where you can do literally anything. Why on earth would you why would you limit it in any way to just be like, this is for boys, label
You know, it
girls,
makes
get
no
out?
sense at
It's-
all. And
Yeah,
and
I don't
actually,
get it.
I was lucky enough when I started, like I said, to, you know, sort of start playing with people who enjoyed having me around. You know, like who let me have as much fun as they were having, right? Like it wasn't an exclusive thing. It was something that they
Yeah.
were happy to include me in. But in a lot of senses, I think there are more women playing now than there ever have been.
Yeah.
And-
I don't know if you guys are on TikTok. I am. I'm on the D&D side of TikTok a lot.
Mhm.
And the D&D side of TikTok is like 70% like women creators, POC creators, and queer creators. And I'm like, this is the best space ever. This is so cool. Like D&D naturally feels like it should automatically be this very inclusive thing, because you just get to make whatever story you want. And they often have found family vibes, which found family is itself kind of a queer trope. So yeah, it's like it's great. I love it. I love it so much. I love Dungeons and Dragons and TTRPGs, guys.
Nerd.
And we
I know.
love you.
Put a mic in front of me and I won't shut up.
Yes. Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Rich. You're inciting great conversation.
Yeah. No, it's been interesting, and yeah, because I've been doing this a while, I've seen a lot of the swings to both
Man,
directions.
I was gonna say you've probably seen quite a lot of massive change throughout the.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even just the steps from the different books and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the limitations that they used to put on you if you were playing a female character were interesting.
Mhm.
And when I say
That was a
interesting,
mechanical thing.
yeah. Oh yeah. There were definitely
Mm.
mechanical things in the early days. Yeah, when you were
Yes.
playing a woman. Yeah.
Strength -2.
Well,
Brain
no,
power
it wasn't quite that
0.
bad. It wasn't quite that
Zero.
bad.
Driving
But-
skills.
more-
yeah.
Kitchen skills, cleaning skills, amazing.
But you know, like,
That's
and
not.
all of the other, there
I'm just
there were
being
interesting tropes of guys playing women,
Mm-hmm.
and the way
Mhm.
that they played women were insulting
Yep. Yeah.
very often, right? So I would be in groups. I remember being, oh my God, at Ryerson University back in like my early days of role playing, which is like my early 20s. And some of the guys who played women were just
Worse.
genuinely insulting. Like
Yeah.
and very creepy actually.
Oh,
So
Yeah, I
it
can-
was never, yeah, it was not, it was uncomfortable.
That's
When-
that's a particular different
Yeah,
style of
that's different.
playing.
Yeah, that
that's living
I
out a
like-
fantasy.
Because there are some guys-
That's not about being
Yeah,
a
it's not
Yeah.
RPG.
yeah, that was some fantasy I didn't want to be involved in. That was there was something going on there. Yeah, but yeah, it was just very very strange. And so yeah, having seen some of that, you know, I just feel very lucky that I managed to find people to play with that were
that's
normal.
people, yeah. We're not too weird.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
I mean,
the wrong lane of weird.
yeah,
if you will.
yeah.
There's
Just
weird,
some-
and then there's rich.
Wow.
You're welcome, Rich.
Oh boy, yeah. There's fun stuff. But now, I mean, I feel a lot more comfortable doing this live, you know, and all sorts of different avenues for role play that are fun rather than creepy.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first started streaming, it was for the sole purpose of like, hey, Twitch records that for you? Okay, and I can get the recording back and then watch that? That's cool. Like, that was the whole purpose, was like, I want to watch what we did and learn how to be a better player, because my whole influence, again, was Critical Role and Sam Riegel. Like, and for the first year, I think I had too many people be like, you're trying to be too much like Sam. And then it took me a while to realize, like, holy shit, I am. Like, I am trying to emulate Sam Riegel, and I'm trailing off to something else. But anyway, yeah. Accessibility.
Accessibility is good. It's good to understand your influences, use them to influence and not to replicate.
There you
I
go.
worked your thing in, Chris.
Thanks, man. That was good.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of working things in, I'm king of segues here. Ranger Gauntlet, another question. Do you ever see RPGs evolving into a Sword Art Online, one of my favorite animes ever, VR kind of format? Absolutely, it's already there. It already exists.
It does.
I think in terms of like full dive VR, eventually one day, it'll take some time because I swear
People are still
this
getting
isn't-
like motion sickness from this stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean here's kind of the thing about technology.
I've played a lot of VR, so I can tap in on this too.
Technology and progress in technology is great. The people who have the resources to facilitate pushing technology forward are generally older and out of touch. Like take for example, all of Facebook/Meta's advertising for the metaverse, something that they don't have any real plans for. It's a bunch of PR stuff currently. Everything they talk about with the metaverse, every single thing that they market, here is why the metaverse is so cool. they mention that you can bring your office to your home and project your workspace onto your home office,
Which you can
and
do
you
now.
can go grocery shopping. They don't market anything in the metaverse that people would actually want to use the metaverse for, mainly for like playing games, hanging out with your friends, things that already exist in like VR world.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that Apple did when they marketed the first iPhone. The initial iPhone marketing campaign, none of it focused on like apps or texting. All of the early advertisements showed that you could play music and that you could use it as a phone. Every single commercial ended with, could an iPod do this? And then they answer the phone, which is something hardly anyone used when the iPhones came out because everyone was texting. And so
It's still not any different.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the corporations who are like in charge of a lot of the new pioneering of technology, who are in charge of marketing it, they don't really understand what people want to use it for. And so, yes, I think if the metaverse or anything similar to that becomes like a fully realized thing, we will naturally see games progress from that. It's not going to come from the corporations that are pushing it. It's going to come from creative people that just go wild with it. Like everything that's in VR world, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I want to touch on the VR stuff real quick. Just
Yes.
because, God, I love VR, but it is in such a poor state at the moment. Like, especially with Oculus, Facebook, get your shit together. We want to run VR on something better than a cell phone, chip from 2010. But holy crap, there's things already on just this weak ass little engine that where there's this one that I have on our headset where you can go into a tavern, go into a campaign, the DM will be there, the players will be there, you all stand around this digital this tavern essentially. There's a bartender, you can go get fake drinks, you can roll your dice on the table. In the world, you can shrink yourself down to your mini and see the world from the map.
I know this
map.
one.
And
I want to do that so bad.
And then to give
what's it called?
To give a shout out to another one though, going off subject just because I don't want to talk about this forever, but Demio, it's not D&D, but it's very much D&D related. It's some dice, but there's cards you play. But it is exactly like it. You are there in a basement from the 80s in the background, you and your friends, and you're playing and you're moving your pieces and putting it on the board, and it's all interactive live. So like the NPCs are interacting with your player. It's so insane, and it just progressively keeps getting better. And these developers, because they're young and they know what people want to see and do, they're constantly listening to their community and constantly changing. Always do, it's. I haven't played it in a year, but when I played for a year,
indie devs absolutely rock, and they're going to pioneer this stuff. It is they already are pioneering it. It's so cool.
Yeah. Dungeon Full Dive. I think that might be. I think that's one of them. There's another one called. It's something like Tavern Tales, but it's relatively the same thing. It's insane. Like when you watch the video, what you can do. You're all there playing. You get your avatars. Dress them up as whatever you want, and then you're playing, rolling your dice. You got your player sheets right there. All just chilling, no clothes on, whatever. Cats scratching at your legs.
Speaking of Sword Art Online, this is just some fun trivia, not necessarily related to the question. Sword Art Online, the timeline of the show, the beta test for Sword Art Online opened on August 30th of 2022. So about a month ago, the SAO beta test opened. SAO proper is going to be launching this November. Watch out for it, folks.
Nice. Good plug. Good job.
God.
Well, hey.
Isn't it weird how SAO was looked at as a bright future compared to where we ended up? I'm kidding.
If you die in the game, die in real life.
I like SAO's a big gateway anime. I could talk about SAO, but I won't.
Yeah, that was one of my gateways. I think that was like the second anime I've ever watched, and I was just like,
Yeah, I mean,
anime is amazing.
I've
was
seen it all.
It was like kind of like perfectly timed too, because it coincided. I'm so sorry. I could just a quick.
Let me just have this moment, please.
It
Please, give me 5
coincided
minutes.
really well with the rise of streaming. Like, it came out in 2013, which is like the same year that Crunchyroll like launched as a site. It was a lot of times where all of a sudden anime became accessible. And a lot more people were able to legally consume it, because before that, really, the only way you could watch anime was watch like Toonami, watch your parents' DVDs, or pirate. And then all of a sudden, there was a place to stream a lot more anime, specifically anime, instead of like, you know, the random anime that were just kicking around on Netflix at the time. There was a site for anime. Sword Art Online was on Toonami and on Crunchyroll. It became wildly popular in North America. That and Attack on Titan, two of my big gateway anime, they very much pushed forward a huge anime push in North America that we just had not seen before.
I hate to
thanks,
point this
SAO.
out, but Robotech, as much as that didn't really do justice to what it actually was in Japan, Robotech was huge when it came. And it kind of started the whole thing. And I have to say, like Lodos Wars and all of that stuff that you used to have on like the big discs.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely came in waves. Attack on Titan and SAO were like the streaming era of anime popularity.
Yeah, this was before streaming. Like it was, like Lodos Wars. Oh my God, have you ever watched that?
I have not.
You really should look for that, and I'm not sure where it is, but I wonder if
Hulu might have
has it.
You know?
Crunchyroll might, maybe. Record of the Lodos Wars, or Record of Lodos Wars is what it's called. And
okay, the characters look familiar now.
It is. First of all, it's beautiful, and second of all, it is basically anime D&D.
Yeah,
I do love anime.
Speaking of anime D&D too, one of my other alternative favorites was how to, am I saying this right? How to pick up a girl in a dungeon or something like that.
Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Yo, Danmachi, bro! We gonna talk about Danmachi?
Oh my God.
I love that show so much.
It was one of my favorites. I'm 2 seasons, and I'm still waiting on that third elusive one, kind of like.
There's another one called That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime.
Oh, yes.
Which is great.
I love it.
And Overlord. Overlord is the one that I'm watching right now, and it's kind of a sort of takeoff of SAO, because it's basically about this guy who was in a VR world playing a bad guy, had a guild, and then got stuck in there.
It's cool. Overlord is a fantastic isekai.
It's wonderful. I am loving it, and they just introduced the 4th season now, I think. So yeah, I'm watching the newest season. I think.
I guess Record of Lodos War has some video games.
Oh, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it on Laserdisc, and it was beautiful. It was like mind-blowing at the time. It's well worth watching if you even now.
I'm throwing that on my ever-growing watch list.
Yeah. It's really, really good. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, like,
There's so
you know,
much anime.
Yeah,
it really is.
But my point is, before streaming, anime was still a big thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to discredit the anime.
Yeah,
waves
you did
that
have to
came
know where to
before
find
mine,
it. Yeah,
but it's all about accessibility, you know.
Because I've been watching this a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was I never really. Like, even before the big streaming wave, I just never really got into anime because I didn't have a lot of streaming services, and Crunchyroll was free, which was huge. And then also, my parents weren't into it, so I didn't have any, like, DVDs of it. I didn't know where to look for it, and I was like, I'm not gonna pirate TV shows. That's so bad. I watched the anti-piracy commercials. No, I would not download a car.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And then we
There's-
learned, oops, piracy is actually vital to keeping art around. HBO Max.
Yeah.
I'm
Unfortunately.
still mad about it. I'm never not going to be mad about it.
Oh, Goblin Slayer. That's another one that if you guys have not seen. And it's kind of dark.
Yeah.
I like Goblin Slayer the show.
Berserk.
The first episode is far too much.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Massive content warning on episode
Yes,
1
Yeah.
of Goblin Hunter Slayer Killer.
Goblin Slayer, I think.
Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
The rest of the show pretty solid.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they did that on purpose. Like, if you
I
can't
think
handle
they
this,
did.
go away.
Yeah.
It feels like they did, but it's like yeesh.
Maybe the writers were like, I don't even want to do this. Let's just
Well,
make it
you
so
know,
bad that they'll cancel us. And they're like,
The,
no, we
the
love
thing
it.
about it though is the reason, like the whole reasoning behind the guy and why he only wants to fight goblins is because he knows how awful they are, right? He understands. You have to see that in the first episode to understand what he's seeing.
Yeah, because
Right?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of the other adventurers are really just like he just kills goblins. Psh,
Yeah,
that's lame.
It's
Goblins
like,
are
wow,
like, psh. But it's like
Yeah.
no. If you take a horde of goblins with like a random village, full
they're
of, like,
freaking dangerous.
essentially NPCs, yeah, dangerous.
And he's protecting the farmers, right? Like he's not protecting, other adventurers. He's protecting the
he's pretty much just
base
hanging out
people
around
who are-
around his like hometown and protecting
Yeah.
people.
yeah.
He,
So I
he
mean,
does
there's a
build-
reason.
He does build himself quite the harem by the end of the first season, which is funny. Because everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, mysterious goblin slayer, you never take off your helmet and you're so cool and
Oh my
strong
God.
and cool. And then he takes off his helmet at the end of season 1 and they're like, oh, and you're so handsome too. And I was like, okay, whose original character do not steal was this guy?
Oh my God. Yeah, it
I
was
poked
pretty
fun.
funny.
I
Yeah.
did enjoy watching the show, just not the first episode.
No. But it's, I mean, maybe the Mandalorian got it from this.
Oh, true. Mandalorian's a shameless ripoff.
I don't know. But
Hear
yeah.
that, John Favreau? You're IP shit. I'm kidding.
Favreau's awesome. Shut up.
I,
Shut
I
your
do
mouth.
I do find him pretty cute, gotta say.
I like
pretty
John
hot.
Favreau.
Mhm.
I really
Mhm.
don't like Lion King 2019.
I agree. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Speaking of lions, tigers, and bears, how about untamed
my.
beasts? What are we? How close are we to the? I mean, I already know, but for people watching, how close are we to the end of the campaign, Matthew?
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Oh, good talk.
It seems the yeah, that's it. It's pretty close.
It's pretty
No,
close.
it seems that you guys have found the lab of this so-called doctor. Yeah,
Doctor Who?
Getting our
yeah,
asses kicked by
Doctor
his
Who.
minions.
by the multitude of
Hey, man.
creations that have kind
Yeah.
of been freely wandering his lab and home.
We'll have nothing left by the time we see him.
Maybe.
We'll be
You know, when
fine.
you
We'll-
run headlong in to every
We'll have him
room.
outnumbered. He's one wizard at like level 12 or 13. How hard could he be?
Oh boy, we are so dead.
It's fine. We got this.
Hey, where did we leave off at last session? It's been
You're mid-combat.
We were fighting a
Yeah,
large
we were-
cat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was this tiger thing that
Cat, rat,
threw my
bear.
spell back at me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
that was
right.
not fun.
Mm.
I think it's an Aeorian absorber.
Yes. Yeah.
Lark
Yes.
nor Jody liked that trick.
I did not
Matthew.
like that. No, but I mean,
thought
it
it
was a
was
good
funny.
trick. It was a good trick. I got to hand it to you. Yes, I learned my lesson. Yeah.
It's kind of like insulting somebody and then having somebody come up to you and be like, you realize you only don't like what they're doing because it's what you do. And then you're like,
I know. Yeah.
"Ooh,
Yeah. Oh, that
ah,
hurts.
hard
Oh, that
pill,
hurts. Yeah.
hard
But I still have
pill."
a lot to reveal about my character. I'm kind of,
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed this is ending.
I'm.
We can always come back to it.
it's true.
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah,
gonna do like a farewell episode after we beat the boss? Little,
What do you mean like a farewell? What do you mean like a
you
farewell
know,
episode?
like a closing of the book kind of thing. Like, hey, what do y'all want to do now that you're like you beat the game? You want to do post-credit scene like
And
where
they
you're
all,
happy?
yeah, we all eat shawarma.
Like at the end, like
Yeah.
at the very end though. Like the last
I
5 minutes of the last session ever of that campaign, just have like, oh god damn it, what? Have Kayla show up, just be like, hey guys, and then be like, oh. I don't know.
Oh,
Well, we'll
boy.
have to wait and see. I don't
That'd be
know.
cool.
I think it'll just. It depends on. We'll see how it goes. That's
Yeah,
not something I would plan. It's just more
Yeah.
of it'll happen.
Yeah.
I've told the party, I'll tell the audience as well. I wrote Azazel for the initial plan of this being a very short mini campaign. I'm gonna be honest, I'm really running out of stuff for this guy to do. Like, he was very much
It's
like,
good.
I'm doing this job, I'm getting this mission accomplished, and then it's
Uh-huh.
like,
Well, no,
And then
I
I'm
think he
going
just goes
home.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think he
for
just
this
goes
situ-
home after this. I promise my character for the next campaign is much more complex.
for this situation, it's good that you did exactly what you did. I mean, I was
Yes.
same situation. Like my backstory, sure, there's stuff you guys don't know, but there's very little bit left to. Like, you know, that's it. I think I pretty much spilled all his beans. Like he's a vegetarian. He's afraid of heights. Thinks he's an orc. I mean, like I don't know what else. Like I got basically he wants to get Little Flower home to her parents if they still are alive, and that's his end all for
Yeah.
now. For now.
Simple,
there's nothing
straightforward,
wrong
like
with
a
that.
sword.
Yeah,
For
there is
now.
nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with starting with a simple character and having him develop over time.
Oh,
that's
man.
part of the
That's
fun
why I
of it.
can't wait for the Duke campaign.
Yeah.
So yes, those that are here, and yes, we've been alluding that we are in preparation for a new game once this one is done. When it starts, I have no idea.
Spoilers, Matthew.
I have, some sparse ideas so far. We've discussed characters and what we all want to play next. And
Sometime between sooner and later.
Yeah, but so between now and then it will happen.
Yep.
sounds about right. Oh,
Those are spoilers.
those are the spoilers. Yeah, I guess. And well, then in terms of this current game, I don't know. Do you guys have any questions for me? Is there anything you want to know? Anything that I can actually tell
Okay.
you, or is there any things that you want to share?
Is Trovik right in thinking that our dragonborn friend was an experiment from the doctor?
You're partially right.
Ah, good enough.
Yeah. He alluded that he was involved somewhat in it.
Mm-hmm.
We never
That's
got
cool.
any more info out of him.
I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm like, yeah, I just want to just tell everything, but at the same time, it's like,
All right.
Oh, we
Oh,
gotta
dude.
we gotta do a lore lounge like after the campaign faux show.
Is-
like,
dude,
Is
do you understand how much
Zilri
lore I have?
the doctor?
is
No.
what?
I said, is Zilri the doctor?
That wouldn't that be fucking cool? Or like oh god, what was Sarah's character's name? Orn. Or just like make you
Just out of nowhere, just like it
Oh.
completely just emotional drop, and it's just, yes, it was me all along.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, Orn talks better than all of us.
Yes, I've learned speech many years ago.
They can soliloquize.
Or slips into the voice Jody was doing earlier. It was me all along, yes. Now, somebody get me
You
some-
have found me out.
Somebody get me some more of this divinity.
Oh
like-
boy.
Yeah. Anybody else got questions for Dungeon Matthew?
Doesn't have to be character specific. It can be anything.
Uh,
Or maybe I can ask, what's your favorite moment so far in this this haphazard adventure.
I will think on that. You take it away, Dio. I got.
Oh, okay. My favorite moment in this campaign,
Or something that you
Dungeons and
liked. I don't know. Or if you don't have anything, you can just be like, yeah, I don't got anything that really stood out. It's
I
that's
liked a
perfectly
lot
fine.
of things. I'm trying to. I just
Narrow
like
it
playing
down.
the game with everybody.
You know what my
Um,
brain keeps going back to? Well, I'll give give Dio some time.
You're gonna
think,
take it
too.
back.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to be rude about
You
that.
had your chance. Now it's mine again.
Yeah, sorry, Dio.
Shut up! Get out of here!
We got a 10-second timer. You didn't hear the Jeopardy song in the background? Come on. I keep going back to when it was I mean, there's so many favorite moments, but way back when it was like episode 2 or 3 when we got like our first little adventure. I thought that was kind of cool when we like explored these little docks or something, and then we went in this room and there was like crab thingies that almost killed us.
Oh.
And
When you
I
guys were
rolled
looking
that damn
for
7 in the middle of the tiny tunnel
the
and got
first-
stuck.
The first time you got the vines on your wild magic surge table.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I did really like Azazel's first big like brain blast when I was like scribbling in my notes and I was like piecing together all of these things that we had from like these specific magical signatures from all these creatures, and I was just like, oh fuck, we got a strong wizard here. When I figured that it was like a combination of like the clone spell and various other things, that I was like, that's spooky.
Like, oh shit. Actually, I think that was one of my favorites too.
I liked being the smart character because I got to have those aha moments.
I think that's one thing I've always enjoyed when players are like, they figure it out, or they figure something, they have a revelation, and it's just like, it's gotta be this, and in my head it's like, fuck yeah. It's like, I left the trails of breadcrumbs and they got it. Sweet. Now let's see how they deal with it.
Yeah, that is super cool.
Yeah,
Chat says Roxanne becoming a killer whale. Hell yeah.
True.
Also,
that one kind of threw me for a curve. I was just like, well, all right.
I want to throw a contender hat in the ring is when we saw L.O.R.E for the first time do her what I call the mother thing, which freaked Trovic the fuck out. Just the levitate in the eyes, like in, theater of the mind. What's the other word?
Yeah,
accessibility.
Mother L.O.R.E is spooky.
Oh yeah, Mother L.O.R.E.
We love her though.
It's so much fun to play her. It really is. There's so like different aspects of her personality. They're so far apart.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun.
I'm wondering, Jody, if you would do me the favor of answering this. Is her deity living inside of her?
No.
Okay.
No, that's not what this is.
Is there a split personality? To like
No. It's more that she doesn't know who she is.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily a split personality
She's
so much
like Simba during the Hakuna Matata song.
yeah, right. She's coming into her own. And it's she wasn't really raised the way that she should have been, put it that way.
Okay. By orcs or minotaurs?
Yeah, well, kind of. That's how he would relate to it.
Orcs
But yeah,
will lie to you.
I mean, she was dropped as a baby on the doorstep of a temple to Shantea, and there's more to it than that.
So not orcs. So not orcs, but
not
storks.
orcs.
Storks.
No. She was raised by a
Storks.
halfling woman,
Raised
wasn't
by
she?
Storks.
Yeah,
We got
she was
it.
raised by the priestess, who's a halfling.
Man,
It's like
I feel like
true
L.O.R.E and Oberon
stork
would have a lot
blood
to talk about.
will be great.
Oberon,
stork
which
area.
one?
That was my character I talked about, my cleric. Who
Oh,
was...
the new one or
Wait.
the?
No.
from
My,
his
what
other
I
game.
said for my favorite character.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
She
was
has
also
stuff.
dropped on the footstep of a of a temple.
Yeah.
It was
She
more
has
for
stuff
like
going on.
fighty priests though.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Matt, to kind of circle back to your original question, the favorite moments, man, there's no such thing. There's like every session we have, I get a new favorite moment. Like,
That's good. I mean,
yeah, like
There's a lot of
did you-
stuff.
the figuring out the flying thing for the first time and the second time, like
oh, figuring out that your character was
Roxanne's
afraid of heights.
eagles, yeah, that. And
Those
then-
eagles were super cool.
yeah, fuck, badass. And then
Yeah.
and then the second time,
With the Quetzalcoatlus.
peeing on
Oh,
That was the
jeez, your enemy.
Pain on my
Yes.
neck. Yeah.
Did you pee on me?
I think one of my, also another one that I always go back to is Trovik and Azazel, as some would pronounce them. Their constant like weird conversations that they usually have, as Trovik wanting to be this brainiac, or thinking that he is smart but he's not at all, and thinking that they're the best detectives, kind of things. Like, and that one conversation where we left it on, Matt, you left it on a cliffhanger, and you said something about not being a cop, and Trovik didn't understand it, but he's like, this is a very bad time to bring this up. We're gonna have a conversation when we get home. Like that banter back and forth. Like, I love the exchange between whenever there is a Azazel and Trovik moment, I'm always like super improv happy. My
Those
improv
are
student
really,
is
really
always
fun.
yeah. We always have.
Yeah, I
the
think
craziest.
with Azazel and Zilri, it was quote unquote the two smartest ones in the room, so to speak. Both
The smart one and the clever one, really.
yeah.
the wisdom and the
The way I
intelligence.
saw it was like, yeah, it's the two, the two smart ones in the room that are willing to talk about things. They're both on the same page, but they're on completely different wavelengths.
Oh yeah. We're each reading completely different lines on the same page.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
I
so
only came into it later, so I didn't see
Yeah,
any of
it
that.
was just interesting conversation between the two characters. It was a mixture of like having an intellectual conversation. It's like, okay, here's the situation, but at the same time testing each other and kind of throwing things at each other back and forth while trying to, it's almost like I'm trying to figure you out while discussing what we have to deal with, and
I
trying
do
not to
remember
tell
that.
you
Yeah.
anything about me.
It was a very,
was-
very
that
fun
was-
That was a
dynamic with
fun,
Zilri.
yeah.
That
it
was
super
their
fun.
conversations constantly.
It was kind of like
Coy
was
playing
kind-
coy, like it was.
Yeah.
it was
ping
kind of
pong.
like Professor X and Magneto, like as young people,
Right.
where it's just kind of like they're buddies. They have other stuff going on, but it's like there's still like respect, but it's like we don't want to tilt our hands too much here.
Yeah. A good way to
we're,
put
we're,
it.
we're up for the same cause, but your motivations differ greatly from mine.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Early Magneto Professor X. It's nice. I like it.
And Lark just wants to give everyone cookies.
Yes.
I think, and I guess just thinking about all the characters, really, I think everybody gave me a good moment to kind of laugh at.
Yeah.
I think,
everybody was great.
like, I think a funny moment for Zilri was when I was playing the NPC of the bar.
Yeah.
Ty. Gentleman's name was Ty. He was one of the bodyguards or undertakers, if you will, of the gambling ring. And it's like, okay, you know what? Let's play a game, you and I, and if I win, we get to go on a date, but if you win, I'll tell you what
Yeah.
you need to know. And the entire time she's just constantly mocking him.
Yeah.
What we
That-
never
that
found
was-
out was the barback's name. His name was actually One On. So when the manager would yell at them both, Ty, One On, get back here.
Nice.
That's your joke for the night, folks. Good night.
It was honestly really great to have Zilri and therefore Kayla just kind of like verbally lash at this
Oh.
weird flirt guy. It was great.
I think
Oh, was that
like-
the guy that I clipped your voice? Hello there.
Yes. Oh, hello there.
Oh, hello there.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
I was very much going for like a Zap Brannigan vibe, and then I kept getting told, "You're doing a good George Takei," and I'm like, "That's not what I was going for." But
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah,
why not?
We liked the Chick-A so much better. We're like, yes, please keep that. Oh my. Hello
Oh, hi
there.
And then it's like with Orn, it was just a lot of her personal like, I'm just here, and I just like fish, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a punch it.
Oh, what was
It's
it?
like, okay.
Zoral and
Zorro?
Orn conversation about like, Zoral, do you like being here? What do you wish to do with your life? Kind of stuff. Like, fish. It was like,
Fish.
cool.
You're a
I
very
really did like
simple
that
person.
dynamic of Zoral just like, no, I respect Orin. They're a simple creature, and I'm totally all for it. That's
Mhm.
great.
Sarah played that so
And
so well.
And I think it's like, yeah, with Zoro, I liked a lot of his very ritualistic elements
Mhm.
that he brought in as a druid. And I kind of wish he was around for when we met the tree speaker, because it was such a heavy tie into his character.
Yeah.
I got to play with him like what, twice?
I think so, yeah.
And that was it. I miss him actually. I thought he played a really cool character.
Yeah, he had a really interesting, very
He did. Yeah.
cool.
Hope you're doing well,
Yeah.
Ryan. If you're hearing this.
Yeah, we miss you.
Miss you, man.
And then it's like, I think Ordain's funny moment was when he went around with a gift basket and
Oh.
While we were
handwritten notes.
talking with
That your
like the town
kids are
police, just be
dead?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't
Oh.
worry, we'll make sure and keep this under wraps to make a bigger
And he's
announcement.
already breaking the news to everybody in very poor
With
fashion.
kiss
Sorry, your
baskets.
kids died.
Yeah, here's a basket. It's
Oh,
from Bath and
boy.
Beyond.
Uh...
B&B, you know.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
What about
And then-
Luminary?
Luminary, I think it was a lot of just the random banter she threw out, where it was just like everyone would throw somebody for a loop, or it was just like, it's very like, I don't understand why I'm here and why I agreed to this, but I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
She had the
Yeah.
best spells. She had the best
She used a
spells.
lot of
Yeah.
my spells that I
Yeah.
wrote.
Those were really cool though. Like she used some really good things. I thought it was very cool.
I think Moon has a lot of good moments, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely I think
Too many to count, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly
it's
think-
Roxanne. I mean,
Yeah.
last
the
campaign,
whale
too.
the whale was the best one.
The whale.
The whale that was just like, I want to turn
The
into a whale.
apes.
What?
Those
The
those
apes, oh my
giant
God. Oh, the
apes.
giant ape,
Oh
yeah.
my god.
I liked it when anytime Azazel would talk to her, it would always end up with her just
Giving a
in
condescending
the most
remark.
chillax way, roasting the hell out of Azazel and just like, all right,
Uh-huh.
I'll take that then.
You can't be mad at her.
No.
Shit, all right.
Yeah.
That and yeah.
And she's what, all of like 15?
yeah.
Yeah.
14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Talking to her parents to get her to come with us was hilarious too.
Oh,
like when
yeah.
Matt,
It's like-
you had to be the parents.
Hi, we're
It was
here
just
to
like-
talk to you about your
yeah.
daughter.
Or yeah.
what did my daughter do?
We
Yeah.
want to take her away and
And she's
like
in her
not.
own-
No, she's not gonna die. No, she won't die. Yes, I'm gonna take good care of her. Yes, I promise.
And she's in a onesie.
You know me.
Like,
We know each other. You know me, right? No, she'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
fine.
And we're the red men.
yeah, pajamas and the red men and
We got Azazel and Trovik
Yeah.
here. We're the red guys.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
team red.
No,
We're
it's such
team
like
go.
a bunch of random people show up. It's like, I know you, Lark. I've
Mhm.
seen you around town. We've spoken a handful of times. Who the fuck are the rest of
Yeah.
you?
Hi.
And we had that
Hi.
weird,
One year
that
looking
weird
for-
lizard creature with us too
Mhm.
at the time, didn't we?
Oh, Ash. Aw.
Ash,
Oh
yes.
shit. Right.
Oh wow.
Wonder how Ash is doing back in the village.
I hope he's doing well.
I'm curious, DM. What's the rest of your cast character moments? I think you touched on Moon. You got 3 of us left. We happen to be here,
Well, I said-
so no
yeah,
pressure.
Well, I said with Azazel, I think it was mostly like the funny those one moments where he's like, okay, I'm gonna use blade singing, and he'd actually just start doing a little dance. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do my dance.
I'm singing. I'm blade singing.
And
But for me, it was like my favorite moment when you started picking up on little things throughout, and then finally you're just like, oh my god, it's this is
Yeah.
what's causing this, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, yes.
So the other the Dio cliffhangers too, where he would always get his one-liner in, like, we gotta save these fucking kids.
Yeah, and it's like when you fought the flesh golems, and then you realize what they were after reading their minds, and I was like, I had thought about ahead, and I'm like, okay, he might do that. Let's see. And this is what I have in mind, and you did that, and then you're just like, oh my god, we gotta get there.
We
Yeah.
gotta get the hell out of here.
We gotta save those kids.
We gotta
So,
save
yeah.
these kids, right?
Ah,
With Lark, I think one of the funniest moments is when we first introduced you, because you're just
Yeah.
like, got
I
all
go
the
back and get my
jackal-wares
stuff?
being complete dicks, and just like, no, you're staying in here, and it's just like, okay, do you want some food in the meantime?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Can I
It's
go
like,
back
okay,
and
I'll
get my stuff?
No. Aw.
Yeah, that
Just
was
like,
weird.
that whole, it's like you're like the friendly captive.
She
How'd
was
you
cooking for them. It kept
Yeah.
her alive. And besides, they
man.
wanted her cookies, so they treated her half decently. They didn't have to be nice.
And the
they
second
just
one
had to
was
not kill
definitely,
her.
yeah. Well, that was the reason why they were keeping her alive. It's like, hey, you're cooking food for us, and it's actually pretty good. So, sure, we'll keep you
Yeah.
alive until you prove otherwise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Till you cook something bad, and then you're dead.
Well, you know her holy weapon is her frying pan, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the new show, Cook Good or Die.
Yeah. That's her holy weapon. It's a frying
Cook or
pan.
die.
Cook or die.
Yeah.
And then, mom moment. I think that was
Mhm.
the funniest fucking thing ever. Because all of you, including Roxanne, were just like, oh no.
It was a very get in the car
Now.
now.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Roxanne.
Hey,
yeah, you had
you
both.
guys
You had
remember when
Luminary,
Jody had that
Boone, and
mom
Ordain
moment?
all
That was
like,
crazy.
oh shit.
Lark has had it. Do I have to turn this car
Yeah.
around?
Oh,
Turn
this
these
campaign
boars
On a
around.
road trip.
Wait, I'm going to turn this boar around.
Jovic, leave the bull alone. Let's go.
Oh man.
Oh,
Trovic. Honestly,
so many.
it's
So
with
many.
I'm sorry, but Trovic, the funniest things are constantly you getting trapped by your own vines every single time.
I hate those things. Yeah.
I know, it's just become a running gag.
It's so funny. It's never not funny.
Yeah.
Never not funny, no.
Roll those damn sevens.
Hmm.
There was one other one.
Give head to X-Men. I know that's deep.
No, that one was awkward as fuck because everyone was
No,
everybody was
I loved
laughing.
it.
I'm just like, oh
I
my
loved
God.
it so much. Give head to X-Man became like a thing that we said at my home game so much because of that.
And it was
We
like
caught
for
on
people
straight.
that don't understand at all, it like Trovic doesn't know how to talk right, so he was literally carrying a
A
head
manticore head
and he wanted
into
to give
town.
it to the man who gave him his X, so that's the X-Men. So he's like, give it to X-Men. And that thing.
That whole
became a thing.
conversation was interesting. You had
It's so funny.
a
It was
plethora
so-
of guards kind of like coming up to you and be like, what are you doing? Why do you have this?
Why do you have a severed monster? I'm giving it to the X-Men. They're like, what? What?
Yeah.
Okay,
why?
let's go. They throw you inside the room, and then the guy's just like, I don't want
Oh, that. Yeah, that. Oh,
He's
my
like,
God.
I
Please,
don't
just
need this.
fine,
Please
leave
just
it here and
leave.
get just leave.
You shake on it? Okay.
I still remember that whole pissing on your enemies thing.
Oh, yeah. That didn't go over well with
A little
Yeah.
piss.
Zorro. Did
There
not
was
like
one
that.
Paul
time-
Trovic's talking about his little pee-pee.
Oh, yeah.
His short little pee-pee.
Oh, God. It's not the long hot piece.
Those like short
Little
little
pee-pee.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
Zazel.
Oh,
Oh, Trovic
no,
over there
there
talking about
was-
his little pee-pee.
When Ryan,
Trovic's talking about his
Ryan-
short little pee-pee.
When
Yeah.
Ryan was here playing as Zoro, there was one time I forget what monster it was you guys killed.
It was the first one.
Was
it
it
was
the
the
first
one that I took kid to X-Men, yeah.
No, there was a different. I think it was a different one where you had a confrontation with Zoro, and he was about to throw down with you because he was so mad with you.
Yeah. Oh, and me and Zillery were just like, okay.
No,
okay,
God, okay, guys.
Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was funny. Man, like Trovic to this day still doesn't know that he was electrocuted like 5 times and it was Zorl. Like Trovic thinks it was the gods that were angry at him. He's just like,
oh wow.
like he's petrified of
Sorry?
lightning now.
I
As
don't
he
like to
should be.
fly. I don't
Yeah.
like meat.
No.
And I don't like lightning.
You don't like
Being
clouds, dark
electrocuted.
clouds is
Yeah.
very bad. Oh man.
Oh boy.
So folks, I think this is a good time to wrap it up. Not only are we thankful for everybody that tuned in, don't forget every stream is for Extra Life, and you don't have to be watching live to donate. You can go to if you're on our Discord, it's in there. If all of our socials have the link somewhere on there, you can click on the donate, help the kids out. It is a awesome cause. Also, if you are listening and watching this and just being like, what the fuck did I miss? Or what are they talking about? It is all on our YouTube channel that you can go down in the about section down below. Click right there, go then, whatever. I'm just kind of like seeing Dio in the corner of my eyes, like as he's doing
Hands
the
alone
like,
with you, brother.
and yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. It helps us out. I don't even think we're at 100 followers yet, so that would be super cool. And then you can go watch all of those videos and moments at your own time, convenience, because what's the magic word today, folks? Accessibility. All right,
Ba-da-ba.
it's been great. I love you guys. Can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. Roll some dice
As
with
we
you all.
continue traversing through this unknown doctor's lab, home or otherwise. But we'll have to continue the battle that's in current motion. But thank you all for coming.
Don't forget to be good to each other, be awesome, and beat hate with love, 'cause accessibility.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm just gonna repeat all of your catchphrases. Goodbye.